to order. Please join in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any additions to the agenda tonight? Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll open up for public comments. If there's anyone who would like to discuss anything that is not on the agenda, please come forward. Seeing none, we'll close public comments and move to the consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that needs to be pulled for further discussion? Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then that will take us to city council reports. Liz, anything to report on tonight?
No, we have our park board meeting tomorrow, though.
Okay. Nikki, anything?
Nope, I have EDA this month and
Okay.
community ed next month.
Perfect. Eric? Yeah, and I attended the fire department meeting on Monday, routine meeting. We discussed some of the items that we had purchased, the pair that we increased, and discussed the fish fry coming up here in 2 weeks from yesterday. Hoping everyone can attend. With that, then we'll move to administrative, B1.
Okay, Mayor and Council, B1 is Republic Services. So as part of the contract that's in the packet today, there is a line in there that says that the City Council should review the contract every year, and so today in front of you is the contract, and we also have a representative of Republic Services present, Rich Herstein, here to answer any questions about any concerns or anything about the contract that you may have. I know that in the last month or so that I've been here, we have received some calls from residents, or have some residents come in, and I've been working with Rich, and they've been doing a really good job getting back to residents and getting their concerns answered or resolved.
Yes.
One of them was just they were concerned about the way that they were being billed. I think, and Rich may have a little bit more explanation on that one. I think Rich kind of took that on and worked with the resident to get it resolved. I think he just wanted an audit of his current bill or his bills, and kind of an explanation. And then the other one was just recycling, and if that was something that was mandatory. So.
Okay. Yeah, Rich, is there anything you want to add? And like Maggie said, this is just an annual review. I know Rich was in a month and a half ago. We really didn't officially get to get it in the minutes as we're doing our contractual obligations. So we just want to make sure it may be a 2-minute conversation, maybe an hour. Either way is perfectly fine. So, Rich, if there's anything you want to discuss, maybe some of the items that Maggie talked about. I know I have some of those same concerns, that we're still having these problems. It seems it's been going on for a while. And then maybe as we talk through that, maybe you could give us a high level. We don't always get the calls here. I think a majority of the calls go to you, I'm assuming. If you could kind of give us a high level of the top items you're seeing as issues.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Exactly right. We've gotten a couple calls because when we acquired Elite Sanitation, there was a request by Elite to, because the law was enforced about having to process the waste instead of landfilling the waste, they asked the council, Elite did, asked the council for an increase in the rate, a small increase. nonetheless, and what it did was it changed the way the contract was written. The contract is written such that all 5 years of the agreement, the prices were established already. That during that time, this body approved that increase, so they all went notched up 20 cents or whatever it was, so it kind of threw the agreement off. And a couple of residents I know were concerned about that because they saw the contract at this price and their price was different from their invoice. So,
What?
Do you remember paying? Oh, she does.
Yeah.
that was the biggest concern. And I talked with a couple of residents, and moved over everything and resolved it, and we made sure that the pricing that was in the contract was actually the pricing that they received in was. Just that it was changed slightly throughout that time. There's a resident asking about what can be recycled and so forth, and I resolved that too, with them and help them understand the list of yeses and nos to that.
Overall calls in general, are you seeing more than other community, more from Mayor than any other community, or?
Very many all from there.
Okay.
And it's not just population, percentage-wise with the population, it can really widen it down. So I think that these guys are fantastic in getting me the information, and I've resolved it pretty quickly.
Good.
The homeowners. One homeowner, in fact, was really frustrated. He wrote a letter to the city, and Maggie shared that with me, and I called him, and within 15 minutes, 20 minutes, we had it solved.
Okay, good.
A little miscommunication on our part, fully our part.
Yeah.
Resolved it, very happy now.
So are these rates that we have going out for the 5 years now, they're all gonna be different versus the contract? Should we amend the contract to get those how they should be? What would you suggest?
I certainly believe so. I provided this week with an outline of the 5 years with that adjusted rate halfway through.
Yeah.
And I provided that to Maggie this week.
Okay.
And I suggested that we have a clear understanding of what the original contract was, and then also what the processing law, that's the law that they changed it, and how that affected it going forward. We are going to stick with those prices along those lines. We don't foresee any other changes.
Okay.
When the law was enforced, the law's been in the place that you have to, if organic collection in your city, you have to process the garbage. You can't just go to a landfill. It's a good idea, right? They hadn't been enforcing that law. And then they started, and they said, all right, we're going to give you a 6-month notice, we're going to start enforcing. Well, then all the companies or all the facilities that process your waste raised their prices because they knew you had to.
Right.
So that's what happened to the cities, all these cities I'm working with, and I'm going to a lot of council meetings trying to explain that to people now. It's nothing to do, we're just a hauling company, we're not a disposal company.
Yeah.
So, same with the lease, that's the way it is. We're bound by that. So now when I put it together, and I sent it to Maggie, just an outline of every year what the rates are in the contract, so we're all very clear about that.
Maybe we should look at that.
Yeah, I think we're gonna bring it back with a little language cleanup too, just to switch Elite to Republic as well, so.
Yes, I'll list that as well, that's
Yeah.
great. And then we could adopt this outline. For instance, the contract says year 1, year 2, year 3. Well, I propose to say September 1st of 2017 to August 31st of 18, so it's more clear. So we're going to talk about that. I kind of wanted to get over this hump first and then work on that, and it'll be easy.
Yeah, I think we should. On your rates, and I know there are minor increases year after year,
Yep.
20 cents,
Yep.
30 cents, somewhere in there.
Yep.
Typically, is there a need, or do you typically inform the residents of this change? So as we're coming up to September 30th, they may see a sliding. Is that typical or not, or?
Not typical when it's contracted.
Okay.
When you've established the rates, 3 or 4 years ago,
Yeah.
that's just, when it's a variable number, I generally come to a council and we discuss it, or in work sessions, or with city staff, and then we agree to the CPI, whatever the number is, whatever. This is a better way to do it, I believe, for a city, because then you can forecast and you know exactly what it's going to be 5 years from now. As you said, Mr. Mayor, the increases are nominal. They're 20 cents and 30 cents, but I believe this is a better way for the city to do it. And I've been doing this job for 23 years now, and I found that cities
really like that, because then they can budget for it, they know it, and it's not a curveball at the last minute.
Yeah, I would agree.
Great.
All right, any other questions, comments?
I do. Okay, so we entered into the contract with Elite, and then Republic took over for Elite. And if we redo this contract, does it mean that, are we just redoing wording, or
It's
are we
just
still
wording.
in a contract? Are we still bound to Republic? Not like I wanna
Mhm.
go out for
Good
RFPs
question.
or anything, but just curious.
Yeah, I believe it would, because you guys, Republic took over Elite, they are essentially adopting that contract, and we're just changing the word a little, just
Mhm.
changing Republic from Elite, and.
Okay, and so when Elite raised their prices, that's what we're seeing in front of us? This isn't an additional raise
No.
from Republic?
No, by no means.
I was trying to remember, I remember you came here and we had a conversation, we were all kind of like, well, it was an increase we couldn't not say yes to.
Correct.
And we were all kind of,
State law changed, or actually that didn't change, they just started
Just
enforcing
enforcing it.
Yeah.
So, and this is our attachment A. Elite's prices are our attachment A here,
Right.
Mhm.
okay?
I promise you too, these aren't my changes, these are just the contracted ones. And all I was doing is trying to clean it up and, and not extend it longer, not raise, nothing. It just,
Sure.
being more specific about some things that were kind of vague. And, I'm not a lawyer or anything, I'm a garbage guy, but, there's some things that we could probably tweak in there that maybe clean it up just a smidge.
were you gonna have our council look at it, or are we just?
Oh, yeah, of
Like
course.
our,
Oh, yeah, we'll bring it
Yeah.
back.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so-
it was just trying to clean up some, just words, and no changes of any magnitude of anything, and of course you can look at it, well, gosh, it won't, there's no surprises, I'm not, just,
yep.
And then just account for
yeah,
that.
Yeah, we want-
additional increase on each of those years.
yeah, and we wanna plug in the spreadsheet that shows that then, and, I just wanna clean it up a little bit, and, there's no other intent for it at all.
Is there anything you need from us?
No, not at this point in time. I'll work with Janelle and Maggie and try to get that cleaned up, and then you guys can look at it, your city.
Even outside of contract?
Oh, gosh,
doing
no.
business, I mean,
We're in good shape, I believe. Compost leaf, season goes until the end of November generally, unless we get a bunch of snow,
right,
and you have a facility for that. So,
perfect. Any other?
Were you still gonna do the spring cleanup in the spring that we had with Elite? Okay.
absolutely, you'll have everything that you had before.
Okay.
Just
So
have
we'll
it-
have to make sure, put a note that we schedule that. Last year we did it, I think, in April,
Mhm.
but just make sure we pick a date sometime like in January, I think,
Yeah.
or whenever. I
Okay.
don't remember when we just did it last year.
Yeah, I know.
When we picked the date to
Yep.
work with you guys on
Yep.
it.
Troy and I are old friends, and Troy Schutte from Elite, and he's been telling me all this stuff. He talked to me about the law thing and what to do differently next year, and helping me through that stuff. So he's on
Oh,
my
some tips. Yeah, I love the
Yep.
cleanup. I already have
Yep.
stuff I wanna put, like, what day
Yep.
is it gonna be?
exactly. So
All right.
we're good.
Anything else for Rich? Perfect, well, thank you.
Thank you.
for
You're
coming in.
welcome.
I appreciate it.
That's
and,
no problem.
We'll continue to work closer together this next year.
Absolutely, and tend to make it easier, and the contract getting cleaned up will help everybody too, and residents understand, so there'll be no miscommunication on our part.
Perfect, thank you.
Good, thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Maggie, that'll take us to B2.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, B2 is the utility bill at 2626 Rocky Meadow Lane. I don't know if the residents are here. Are you guys the residents? Okay, perfect. So I invited the residents here today to kind of talk with us about that. So a little bit of the history, the residents at 2626 Rocky Meadow Lane recently experienced an issue with their outside water spigot, that's my understanding. And they don't have a second irrigation meter right now. And so in July, their meter read that they used 86,000 gallons in that month. So they were charged both water and sewer because they don't have that second irrigation meter. So they were charged that month, at a rate of, $1,439.72. And they've been working with staff to kind of get that resolved, and because of getting that resolved, they did get a late fee of $144. They're just kind of asking if the city can waive that fee, and also maybe have a discussion on, kind of waiving some of those sewer fees as well, because it was a irrigation issue.
And then, see the homeowners?
Okay.
If you guys don't mind coming up to the podium then, and just for the record, state your name and address.
Randy Yarkey, 2626 Rocky Meadow Lane.
Okay, so this is an outside faucet you think was leaking?
We just bought the house.
No, we moved in last October, about a year ago,
November,
and, we paid our monthly water bill, was usually around $90, and then all of a sudden, we got a bill for $1,400. And then I think you called
Janelle, whoever Janelle.
somebody.
That's you? Yeah.
Okay. To see what the deal is, and we don't know what caused it, but you called somebody,
Well, no, Kyle, is that your name?
or
He came to the house, and we don't know anything about the meters, but he checked it out.
Is there anything that you found, Kyle? I mean, I'm more concerned it's still happening.
Well, he had us turn the water off, the outside
We
water
turned it off.
off. That's all we did so far.
We didn't do nothing, we don't know what to do.
Yeah, we shut the irrigation line off, but the issue was, as far as we know, there's a broken irrigation head. So every time that system was running, it was sucking water out like crazy.
It wasn't that long, no, I don't know how.
From your irrigation system?
From the irrigation system.
Oh, okay.
And it's 1 meter, so all the water, so they got billed
Got
because
it.
of that irrigation system.
Yep. Okay, so we do think the leak was outside, not inside. You're sure of that?
Yeah, because I went in and the meter wasn't spinning or anything. Yeah, it's an outside issue.
Okay.
Did you call an irrigation company to have them look at it to confirm?
We don't know.
Not yet.
We don't, I think when I talked to Janelle, she said, let's go to the meeting, find out. Shut it off, we did, or Kyle did.
So you haven't billed for the next cycle yet? This is the last.
Yeah, and did you guys read it again? 'Cause
Have we?
or you guys just, because we just got an estimate for, I think you said a couple of months, and then all of a sudden it was this big one. It could have been going on for a couple of months, we don't even know.
The prior bill, if it was happening, it would have showed up on that one.
Yeah.
So it happened.
So it has to be the irrigation then, because we had just turned it on.
It happened in July.
Yeah, we
So-
didn't have it on in June.
So you would have had your August bill already.
The August bill is the one that
That
showed up
shows
first,
the
and then I
rate.
called her right away. And then we didn't hear nothing back for like
But
a
for
month.
So what about the
August.
September one?
I had called like 5 times. You were on
Oh, yeah.
vacation the last time I called.
September's bill will be coming out next week,
Okay,
so we have to think a month prior.
yeah,
So
that's what I was
then-
trying to figure out
Yeah,
is,
right.
Yeah.
if you shut the water off, then this month's bill that you're getting next week should be your normal indoor water usage.
Yeah.
Where's the August bill? We see June and July, right?
That's coming out next week. Or are we a month
We get it a
out?
month behind, don't we?
I'll be right back, I'm gonna get some.
Okay.
So you're confident that it's outside water, it didn't go down the sewer?
Right, yep,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we, and I'm gonna assume it's outside water.
We have to dismiss a portion of that sewer fee, not all of it,
Correct.
right? Some
Like
of it,
80,
some of it was indoor.
Oh,
Their
yeah,
average-
but-
yeah, their
absolutely. So whatever-
average-
So whatever their average normal use is for sewer.
Okay. So your motion is to waive the late fees
Waive the late fee.
and waive any sewer above and beyond their average, I wanna say a 3-month average?
In the past, we required an outdoor meter too.
Yeah,
Irrigation meter.
that was there, like I said, we haven't lived there, we didn't know anything about it until he told me, you don't have a second meter, I'm like,
You guys,
For what?
you guys come and take care of that second meter? Get a second
Yeah,
meter for your
she-
sewer system?
you
It's gonna
said
save
in
money
the
in
spring,
long
I
run as
think?
well.
Yeah.
Maybe it was Janelle said, get one in the spring, yeah.
All right, we have a motion on the table, do we have
And
a second?
who does that?
You'll have to have your own public meter.
Okay, and same with like the irrigation, like who do we call?
You
an
can just call it
irrigation
irrigation company.
Is there one in Mayor? We were
One in
I can-
Watertown,
I can-
but there's quite a few
Oh, that
around.
I can get you a
Oh, that'd be great.
recommendation, 'cause my husband does landscaping.
Oh, awesome.
So we can,
Okay.
we'll get you a
Eric, will you
number.
repeat your
Okay.
motion?
That's
Some
great.
people you can call, I'd call a couple different
If
people.
I remember that, I'll make a motion that we waive the late fee, and then we'll waive the sewer fee for anything that's above the 3-month average.
Thank you.
Perfect, all right, we have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion, a second, any further discussion?
I guess I have a little issue with waiving some of that sewer fee, because this has been going on a long time, and like you, I don't have a second meter, but I can hear the irrigation system turn on, and I kind of keep an eye on it, and I also had realized that my husband had left our hose on for an entire week, but it was a human error, it wasn't city or anything like that. So I guess my concern is I am not comfortable waiving that entire sewer fee.
Generally, I think past practices is when we know that the water isn't going down the.
Past, we definitely have, not that that's right or wrong, I mean, that's not right or wrong, but my view on it is it didn't get into the sewer, we didn't have to retreat it, so I'm comfortable with not paying that part of it. I think they're absolutely responsible for the water that was used, they have to take accountability on that. They all are one-off instances, and if this was inside and it was going down a leaking toilet that was getting processed, I would feel differently, but typically when it's in the yard, it's going into the yard and not getting reprocessed.
We're sure it was in the yard. I'd like to see audit. We typically have more of a history, and instead of just like the 2 months that I'm looking at.
Can you tell me what the second meter does? I don't understand.
Yeah, we measure for outside water.
It only
Yeah.
measures the outside water, so
Oh.
then,
Okay. So when
So
whoever
how did that
put-
work for this homeowner?
Yeah. Were
Prior,
they supposed
he
to
was
have?
paying for both, he was paying water and sewer.
We put an ordinance not that long ago for new homes
Okay.
that required 2 meters.
Okay.
So any homes that were before that ordinance
Mhm.
only have, I only have 1 meter. It was just a recommendation or, voluntary if people wanted to come in and buy that second meter,
Okay.
and have it installed,
We'll
then
get
you wouldn't
that
get charged.
information. We'll get you that,
Yeah,
that'd
we'll
be
finish
great.
up our conversation here
Okay.
on
See, August is big too.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, oh, because, it's big because the 1,400 carried over.
Yeah.
So,
But it's also
164.
double the water usage. It's double the water usage from April,
7.
or I mean, I'm sorry,
June.
in the July bill.
When do we turn it on?
but that's it. It might have carried over, that all depends on when they got in and shut it off, it might have been going into that
97.
month.
It did
Do
go
you
up
remember
on
when you went out there, Kyle? Was it early August, late August?
Oh, it would have been, it would have been early August. As soon as I got the bill, we sent them out like that Monday.
About mid-August.
31st of
Could be
August.
going in, yeah, we could be going into the next
Yeah,
month,
it's in mid-August, okay.
or whatever.
And I think some of this probably did carry over.
Okay.
Because they used 10,000 gallons for, the August billing, but 86,000 gallons the previous month. Yeah, that's what you said, yeah. If we minus, the late fees on those, we're looking at about, $67. So your current charges for that month would have been, roughly just shy of $100.
That's usually what it was. Yeah, it was like 90 every month, yeah.
So for that, once you shut the water off, then the billing was pretty much normal of what it was before.
Depends on when it got shut off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, any other discussion?
Who's figuring it out, Maggie, or?
Yeah, staff will figure out, they'll take that month and waive the late fee and then take their average, and subtract that amount. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I did say aye.
Thank you.
Get that second water meter.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
So do we
and
do that like right away, or
you can
I
call,
would do it,
spring?
everybody gets separated.
Here.
call and talk to Janelle.
Here's the irrigation
Just call me
company.
and I'll get you all the fees and I'll let you know how it works.
They're out of New Germany, St. Bonnie.
Thank you. All right, that'll take us to B3.
Okay. Mayor and council, in front of you is another, previously discussed utility bill at Deerwood Court. This actually went to a, workshop session on September 25th, where the council did meet with the residents to discuss the issue that occurred. It was, at 2482 Deerwood Court. It was an issue with the irrigation meter that was installed in 2011, and they were using the water, but there was an error in the software utility system that wasn't charging the residents, and as a result, their utility bill for those years were what ended up totaling $4,300 to catch up that water usage. Included in your packet is a council agreed upon proposal to lower their utility bill based on average usage since that time. And the agreed amount was $997.05. And that was based on kind of average usage over the summer months from 2011. At that workshop, it was kind of decided to bring that to council for a final approval at today's meeting.
Thank you. Eric, do you have any questions on that? We did discuss that at last.
Are they here? Are the people
No.
here that-
No.
They're not here today.
No, we discussed it with them. They were at the workshop, and we had told them that unless they felt there was some need that they wanted to be here, there was no...
And they're okay with,
Yeah.
do you have a payment plan? I mean, they're okay with paying whatever?
We were gonna have staff work with them and see what they want to do. Statute allows for them to go up to 6 years, and obviously now that it's a lot lower than the 4,000, they likely won't. I know at one point they discussed just paying it off and trying to be done with it, but, we'll have staff work with them.
What was the problem with the software? Radio problem?
No, it was, I don't know, Janelle or Kyle can probably explain it better.
it caught itself up.
Yeah, it
It
didn't
ha-
get
it
entered
was
into the
a-
system to read it, or...
A system with entering information into the system back in 2011, who was ever here, there's certain ways that you enter, like new meters installed into the system, and it wasn't assigned properly in the software, so it was reading, it just was never printing on their bill.
Oh,
Switching
So
it got
they
flipped,
didn't-
so then it,
Yeah.
as long as they're okay with it.
so it was reading right that 430,000 gallons, and then it only hit it once, at the highest price, so,
Yeah,
okay, then,
quite the bill.
I'll,
Get upset to see.
I'll look for a motion, to adjust 2482 Deerwood, I'll look for motion to adjust 2482 Deerwood's Court, water bill to $997.05 for that irrigation issue.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That'll take us to the third quarter review.
Okay, Mayor and council, in front of you is just a kind of a summary of where we're at so far to date as of September 29th, in the budget. In your packet, there's expenditures kind of by, kind of grouping, like general government, council wages and so forth. I know, you can kind of, in the red, that kind of shows like the negative, blue is a positive, and black is even. So the expenditure side, right now shows a positive and 88,490.23. That's a little misleading, though. I'm trying to get a hold of Abdo because there's some transfers that were done in the audit that I don't really understand that came out of some of these budgets that you can see on the explanation, 2017 expenditure explanations. So I'm trying to get an understanding why those audit transfers took money out of those funds. And that kind of is about 200,000. And so I'm trying to figure that out. I haven't heard back yet from them, kind of why those transfers were made, but I should have an update for you guys or you all as soon as possible. So that's why it's showing kind of like like 200,000 less than it probably should be.
Economic development?
Yeah, like right there, I don't really. That's where I think that's the big one that I don't understand. It says that there was 116,000 transfer out of that fund, so I don't really know why that's there, and that's kind of where I'm trying to get a little.
Like 1,000 years of their budget, I think.
Right. So hopefully they can provide us a little more information on that.
That was available or something like that. I don't know, yeah, it could have something to do with that, but we never used any of it. But it was still available, right?
Yeah, I'll get an explanation for you all.
Keep digging into that, but I do appreciate
yeah.
getting this out in front of us. We want to see these coordinated reports, so if you can continue to do it, and certainly everyone give feedback if you want to see more, less, or if this is.
One thing that I always struggle with is, like, for example, the sheriff's contract it's a set dollar amount.
Yeah.
But we may not pay it out till a certain time of the year.
Right.
So like it's misleading here because it's saying that 89, let's say it's first quarter, we haven't paid it out, we still have 89. But we know that that's a set dollar amount, it's not going to change, where there's budgets that we don't know exactly what is going to be needed.
Right.
But it,
yeah, and that's
it improves as a time. Like, I don't know if we can make a side comment, because like when I'm voting or when I'm approving something and you're saying we have this much in the budget, well, was that above what we thought we were going to spend, like something different that we weren't expecting? Does that make? Am I making any sense of like how it can be a little misleading?
You have a running balance kind of going, so you know what the funds are at.
Yeah, so like if you have the police contract, we haven't paid it out, but it's a set dollar amount. That amount's going to go out no matter what time of the year. So can you say that it's already called for, where you've got the park budget may not all go out that year?
And I think that's kind of one thing that we kind of could work on, like having, I think capital plans in place, like with each, where we have a line item that says, okay, this is what we're budgeting for, and this is all the things that we are planning to spend it on this year, so that we don't deviate from that. But that's kind of what we have to work on in the future, I think.
Right.
Yeah, right now, but I think that makes sense. And like right now, I tried to do like an explanation based on.
No, and you did. This is great. I was just trying. This is what I've always thought about. She's like, well, we have 40,000 in this budget, and I said, well, this wasn't a planned expense, so what's going to give to make up that? Because we had some things last year where it was just like, we needed to fix it. It was $18,000 or something for the roundabout. It was an unexpected. We had the money for it, but then what's not going to happen because of that?
Right. Yeah.
That's what I have a hard time understanding, because because in January we have the money, but we need that full amount. So now December, now we're going to be in a negative. But would we made different decisions or looked at things differently, seeing the whole picture?
Yeah.
Is that making sense?
Yeah. I know what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, I can try and like.
I don't know how to note that, but like
for next year, I can try and.
We know payroll. Like we know payroll is pretty much just except for any overtime or, the base. So that would be, you're already expected to pay that,
Right.
or understanding how much is left.
So that's why we have the adopted and the year-to-date amount.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And any other feedback on this, let her know, but I'd like to see this quarterly. I think it does help us keep a handle on that. All right, any other comments on that? All right, then let's move to B5.
So, I know at our last workshop on September 25th, there was just a request to kind of look at the attorney's contract, and because some of the expenses were kind of high for this year, and maybe talk about going out for RFP. So I just put a little information together about kind of the history of this last year, kind of where expenditures came from, and just kind of opening up the discussion, you know, if that's kind of where the route we want to take. There was a settlement, it looks like, at one point this year for $75,000. It did get taken out of the legal funds to pay for that. That was kind of a unexpected expense in that line item, so that kind of brought it up pretty high. There was also some administrative employee legal fees, like the separation contract with the previous city administrator. So I just that was kind of, I think, an unexpected thing as well. So just wanted to put some kind of where we're at with the legal fees and the history, and just I just wanted to give kind of a background. I think that I did look at how long we've been with this attorney. I think there is quite a long history there, it looks like. But just wanted to, that request was made, so I just wanted to bring some information to you tonight and kind of discuss how to move forward with that.
All right, thank you. So, we have Megan's, I know this was brought up, I don't remember, it was brought up at the last work session. Was it Councilmember Butterfield, was it? Did you have a problem? Is there anything you want to comment on this? Do you want to, if we want to have discussion on this, we want to make a motion right away to move into it, I'm open to either way of muddling through this. I guess I'll look for a motion to go and do an RFP for a city attorney.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Okay.
All right. Any further discussion? So one, if I could try to get an understanding of some of the concerns. I don't want to, just for myself before I can vote on it, I think at times we vote on certain things, but we're not certain what the true root cause is. Is it strictly the money here that we spent this amount with the attorney? Are there other issues?
I just would like to see that. I've had the opportunity to work with several different city attorneys in my past careers.
Okay.
And I've always kind of felt like those city attorneys I've worked with felt more responsive, give us a little more input as to what's going on. And I'm just not super enthused with their representation of the city over the last couple of years.
Okay.
And some of my concerns have been some of the contracts that they've drawn up that have not been very airtight and have cost the city quite a bit of money.
I agree with that completely.
Okay, good. No, that helps me. I mean, I've worked a lot closer, I think, than most in the last 9 months with them. I've had a few concerns at the beginning. Towards the end, I felt a lot better. My biggest concern is losing some of that history. I think that's real. I think that's continuously seems to be an issue when we think about RFPs and lose someone who's been our attorney for 50 years and has that history of things. I think that's valuable.
But it's also nice to bring in a fresh pair of eyes.
But, okay. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sorry for the hesitation there, I was trying to... Okay, that will then we'll have to, at a council, maybe a work session, sit down and kind of figure out what are some of the things we're looking for and some of the expectations, so we can get the RFPs out and make sure everyone can properly bid on what we're looking for and the things we need, I think would be a good way to do it.
Do you have to appoint by January?
RFP, I mean, like, in this circumstance, you can just go out for RFP. You don't have to appoint somebody in
Any time of the
January.
year.
Right.
So what,
So
we
we,
still have them in January and we decide to change it, it doesn't matter
right.
2-3 months after down the road.
We can make a new appointment and change it
Okay.
at that time.
Sure.
All right, then we'll go to C1.
Okay, C1 is the 2018 police contract. We do have Paul here today to kind of go review that contract with us today. In your packet, we just have a little information. The 2018 contract for police services actually, if you look at the years 2015, 2016 to 2018, we actually see a decrease of $4,078 from the 2017 contract. That's due to a decrease in vehicle costs. I'll see if that's accurate. Yep. So we have Paul here to answer some questions, and if council feels like they want to move forward with the contract, we do have a resolution in front of you today that would approve the contract for 2018.
Thank you. And this came before us to last council meeting. There were some questions with the contract itself that we needed answered. That's why we asked you to come back or to come in. So I appreciate that.
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you for having me. We have to kind of wrap it up fairly soon because the Vikings game starts reasonably soon. No. If you can still call that football. The Packers do know how to play. But no, the 2018 contract proposed for 2018, you should have had a copy of that. The dollar amount overall from 2017 current year, we are at $84,687, and 2018 next year would be $87,570 is the proposed contract, which is a 3.4% increase overall. There was a slight decrease in the vehicle cost, but then an increase in personnel costs, and that's primarily through negotiated contracts with the labor organizations that the CSOs are part of, community service officers are part of, and the deputies are part of. And that is the dollar amount. The other item that you probably noticed was the overtime rate. I don't know if you did or not, but that went up. That went up several dollars an hour, and the reason, I'm going to try to find, it's being billed at $64.17 for 2018, and it was something like $59.11 or $59 something in 2017, and several years previous to that. That was an oversight on my part where I didn't pick that up for the past several years. I did not reevaluate the overtime costs, and that is a true, there's no money, we're not making any money on that. That is, if you have an officer working overtime, that is what it costs us with all the fringe benefits and a salary.
So how do you guys capture, how do you capture the CSO? So we're paying for a certain amount of hours. Do you do a quarterly kind of a tally sheet, and do we see that, or do you just kind of manage that and then adjust the billing at the end of the year, or how does that?
Yes, you do not generally see that, and it is managed on a daily basis, actually. The hours that the CSO actually works here has to be logged, and we monitor that, we manage that, and then at the end of the year, you are reimbursed for any unused CSO hours. And I think you've always received money back on the CSO hours. We've never, and right now, quite honestly, we are down to, we have two part-time CSOs. Our full-time CSO is out on a medical. We have two part-time CSOs. We have one just started today. Today is Monday, yeah, today. And then we have another one starting in 2 weeks. It's part-time. We actually are allotted 4 part-time CSOs and 1 full-time CSO. So we're building those hours back up.
Okay. Any other questions on the contract?
On page 4, you're gonna need to change Luann's info to what we have. I kinda have some questions about the CSO.
Oh, yes, indeed.
3.5.
You're not gonna go by Luann? I'm sorry, I will change that, yep.
Okay, so can you just kind of explain the FTE, and we're in a situation now where our deputy is not able to work, so, and I don't think, well, I haven't heard that it's been like filled, like someone else is working for him. So I'm wondering do we get paid back for that, or how does that work?
Yeah, you definitely get paid back. What we're doing, your deputy is also on a medical. We've had a string of bad luck here recently, but he's out on a medical. And what we have done, our shifts are, we have what we call 2 Adams, 3 Adams. 2 Adam, for instance, shift is a deputy that is county-wide, can roam the county. A 3 Adam shift is in the southern part. A 4 Adam shift is in the northern part. And then your deputy is a regional deputy, a Robert deputy. All that doesn't mean a whole lot to you necessarily, except that when your deputy is out on a medical now, we could fill that deputy's spot, backfill that deputy, and then you would pay like you normally pay, but then that deputy would be relegated to Mayor New Germany. What I've chosen to do is to fill a 2 Adam shift Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of your deputies, so that deputy then, and you're not being billed for that. That deputy is a roaming deputy, but I've asked them to spend time up in this area. So hopefully, Maggie, they are stopping in here on occasion and seeing you, and I want them to do that, to make sure that they are here and over in New Germany, of course, too. But so that's what we're doing, and we felt that was the best way to address your need here and yet give us some county coverage, too. So we're paying some overtime costs, but the county is absorbing those, not the city of Mayor.
We'll talk more about that after. Once we get through the contract, I do want to ask a little bit more about specifically that instance for that outside of this contract.
Very well. And to answer your question, yes, any hours that we cannot fill here, the city is reimbursed for.
And then you just clock those hours. Every time he's here, you clock them, and whatever we're short,
yes,
you have a record of it.
The exception to that is the first 80 hours is the city's, and that has long come and gone.
Contract.
Correct. In that first 80 hours, had you wanted a deputy to come in, then you would pay the overtime cost for that.
And then we had some questions, a couple meetings ago about ordinances and the enforcement of our ordinances. Is this something that our deputy would not do, but a CSO would? Or will our deputy enforce our ordinances?
Either way you want it. If you want the dog ordinances, the CSO is going to enforce for the most part. The deputy he doesn't have the catch pole and his car isn't really set up to transport dogs. In emergency, can they do it? Absolutely. Or will they do it? Sure, if they're possible. But dog ordinances, for the most part, is going to be the CSO. And I don't know what other ordinances you're talking about, if it's noxious weeds or trash cars, stuff in the yard.
Well, one time we talked about zoning ordinances, but I don't think they want to.
No, if there's a barking dog issue, the deputy can handle that, correct? If you're not taking the dog out
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Thank you. The zoning ordinances, that's kind of your deal,
Okay.
I think. I mean, that's, we don't generally, the deputies don't generally mess with, that's more civil anyway, for the most part. But if it's an ordinance that has a criminal penalty attached to it, it doesn't matter, the CSO or deputy can do that. But, please let me know which ones and how you want to do that.
I mean, I hope that our deputies are just kind of all around watching for everything.
Yeah.
If he notices that and I think Gary
Yeah.
obviously is, if you see something, you got, blight issues, that you're taking care of that, or at least, and I know he does work with our CSO to say, hey, this is the problems with that, make sure you keep an eye on this area.
Any other questions on the contract? I'll look for a motion to approve, resolution 10-9-17-35, approving a contract for police services for calendar year 2018.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Perfect, thank you for
Yep.
coming in on that.
You bet.
Now, real quick on some of the,
Stalky.
yeah, but, thank you. With Deputy Stalky being out,
Yeah.
so it's 3 days now, they're kind of coming around, spending some time with that.
Right, you're gonna see a deputy up here all 5 days,
Okay.
because, but the reason that we did the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is because that day shift, we're a little short in the first place, and so those are the days that I'm gonna fill with overtime costs. But you're gonna have a deputy up here on Monday and Tuesday swinging through also, but the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, hopefully it's a little more concentrated when they're up here.
Just a little more diligence on our end if we're having other issues, just
Oh,
make sure
please
to
call.
stay in contact with you and
Yep.
we'll work through those.
Yeah.
And
The easiest is to call me.
Yep.
Call me rather than one of the sergeants or lieutenants, or just get a hold of me, and the word will trickle down to where it needs to go.
Yeah.
So do we get an accounting of how many hours they spend here? And how many,
That probably not,
that's just something you guys,
yeah, no. Not when it's the two Adam or one or the other.
It's just
General.
kind of hard to, your area cars are just kind of rolling through town.
Yeah.
You're not kind of keeping track of where you're at.
That historically, that's why we kind of went to this FTE whole concept, and those of you who've been around a while, in years past, we did a contract by the hour, and sometimes maybe the cities got short a little bit if the deputy whizzed through and spent 15 minutes in town, but the FTE model works a lot better for everybody.
Good.
And Commander, I'm sure that you're aware of the discussions we've had with the speeds going throughout through Lumber Yard, but in cases it continues to be an issue for, people in our neighborhood, and I think everybody here has had issues with it. Is there a way to get the word out that we're still experiencing those problems, cases is open now?
Yeah.
We're concerned about the speeds and, traffic across from the crosswalk.
Yep. And I wonder, in your opinion, would it do any good to have a speed trailer or a radar sign up? It's more the acceleration than anything, isn't it?
Those things, I don't think they do much for us. I mean, most people are speeding through this town, probably live here and they drive here all the time.
Yeah.
And they're kind of aware of what they're doing. I think they're helpful. I mean, if we could maybe see that as an option for the time being. And I don't know if, your special enforcement periods are kind of usually tied to, certain issues for traffic safety. But, if there are some that are, like speed related or, pedestrian safety related, could you keep us in mind for zero death? And then
Yeah.
maybe have some of those
Run
cars
it
come up
easy
here
here.
and enforce those statutes.
Yep. Yes, we will, and I will, is it daytime mostly? Or-
Daytime, evening,
Anytime.
we were walking up to the cases just the other day, and I heard somebody yelling and screaming at somebody in the middle of the road because there was a car coming pretty fast.
Yeah.
So they're not slowing down up there, and we've had a lot of discussions about, flashing lights and signs, and still my stance on it is I think at this point, to me, it's an enforcement issue.
Yeah.
And, would like to see, if tickets are warranted, that they be written, would like to see some further enforcement out there.
Yeah. Like, say sometimes it's an educational thing, and sometimes you gotta pay tuition. And so it's probably time to pay tuition. We'll And
The word gets around pretty fast when people start having to pay.
Have we heard from MinDOT yet at all? No?
On the moving the sign.
Yeah.
I emailed them, but I did not get a response.
And someone needs to call.
MinDOT approved lowering the speed limit
Mhm.
on 25, because right, it turns 40 at the lumberyard,
Mhm.
going out of town. I think they're gonna move it out towards, is that 30? 30?
32,
30.
out to
30?
32
Yeah,
30.
or 30.
but
30, yeah.
it's just so scary. I mean, we're crossing, I mean, my daughter was like this close to getting hit by a car.
Well, you know, if they're speeding, but it gives us an opportunity to write a ticket then, if that sign is moved out.
Mhm.
Yes, we will do that.
Some of it's just the enforcement too.
Well, yeah, I
Some of
mean,
it's just the enforcement. If it's 30 or 40,
I don't
yeah,
think
it's 10 miles, but they're either gonna stop or not stop, and it doesn't matter. And I've watched people go through there, and even people going 30 aren't stopping.
Right.
Just because we lower it to 30 doesn't mean that
No, it's not
crosswalk's
gonna
any
change, but
safer.
No.
but then it's,
10
yeah,
miles
because
an
people are
hour.
accelerating before, of course, the 40.
Yeah.
There was a squad car parked out by the end of, almost by 30.
Yeah, Gary,
Afternoon.
okay, yeah, I understand, I've noticed Gary has been sitting out there in the mornings as well,
Mhm.
before he started, so.
Yeah, good. They're supposed to be spending some time up here, so it's good to hear.
We'll continue to work on that then.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else for right now for Commander Cheatham? Perfect. Thank you for coming in.
Yep,
I
you're
appreciate
very
it.
welcome. Thank you.
All right, that will take us to Public Works, crack sealing.
All right, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Throughout the summer, city staff has compiled a list of streets that are in need of crack sealing. These streets include 7th Street Northeast, Fieldstone Parkway, Harvest Curve, Sundance Run, Prairie Point, Cinnamon Point, pretty much Fieldstone. Staff is proposing to have Bargain Incorporated crack seal these streets in the amount of $11,632. City staff has also compiled a list of larger cracks along Coldwater Crossing. Staff is proposing to have Bargain Incorporated use Nuvo Gap to complete these repairs. This process will bridge the gap, resulting in a smoother ride and a good seal. The cost to complete these repairs is an additional $2,000 crack sealing and seal coating.
When was,
And the number we see there is the total.
Total what's left.
in that account. Okay.
Yep, correct.
when was the last time that those streets up by Fieldstone were sealed?
I have no idea. Before my time.
Well, I suppose before your time, but it wasn't.
The seal coat is
quite
good.
before.
The seal coat's still good. They're just cracking. Yep, and then once they crack more and then water gets in there, freezes and thaws, more cracks, more cracks, more
City
cracks.
engineer and Kyle went around a couple weeks ago and determined we weren't doing seal coating this year,
Mhm.
that the roads didn't need it.
Yep. Overall, the roads are in pretty good shape yet.
2 meetings ago.
Yep.
We did the crack seal last year too, didn't we?
Last year, we knocked out, we had a lot of manhole repairs that we did, not so much crack sealing. So this year will be the first year we did crack sealing since 2016 is when, 2016 was the last time we did any, seal coating and crack sealing.
And when would these streets get done for crack sealing?
For crack sealing or seal?
No, for this, for Fieldstone, when would the work be done?
As soon as they can get to it, it'll be pretty quick. Yep, very quick.
Because they have to do it in certain temperatures, is that correct?
Yeah, this goes pretty quick. They'll be in and out of here in a day and not much prep and not much, just a lot of little walking and everything, so.
Okay.
Do we have a motion accepting the quote from Bargain Incorporated for the amount of $14,512 for crack sealing? We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion second, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, well inspection.
All right. Staff is proposing to have well number 2 pulled and televised by Tyne Well in the amount of $5,400. This process is something that needs to be completed about every 5 years. Tyne Well will pull the pump from the ground, make any necessary repairs, and they also inspect it at the same time. They will also televise the casing, so they'll pull the well, and then the tube going down into the ground, they're gonna televise all the way down to make sure that it's clean and no obstructions are there. Well 2 is the city's primary well, so it is extremely important that it operates at its highest potential 24/7. If well number 2 were to break down, well 1 would not be able to keep up with summer demand. I got 2 prices, one from Time Well and one from McCarthy Well. The price for McCarthy Well does not include the televising, and this is also a budgeted item for this year, and that's the $7,500 for well 2. And part of this quote, we actually, in the CIP for the wastewater plant, we have budgeted to have that pulled and inspected. So for an additional $600, they'll go out there and pull that well and take a look at it for us. So that's a very good price to do that. So Greg was happy.
54?
What's that?
The 600 is in the 54?
No, it is not in the 54. Nope,
Are we
that would
gonna
be.
have them do that?
Yep, yep.
So then are we gonna vote on 6,000 or 5,400?
I don't know, do we do a price, 'cause what if they need repairs, then it's gonna go up even more.
Yeah, I just assume approve them coming and pulling, inspecting it, and then price, there was a price list there. I had them give it to me before, all of a sudden they pull it out, oh, you need this, you need this, you need this. It's like, well, what's the price?
I just authorized to spend another $600.
Yeah. Yep.
For the other one added, so I would say we stick with this now for this inspection.
I know it's a very good pump that we,
No, up to for the 5,400, and then May you can authorize the other 600 to pull the other pump. So I'll look for motion to approve Time Well, for the amount of $5,400 for well number 2. We have a motion, Councilmember Voder, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Do we have a second, any further discussion?
Which well is the well we've been fixing, pulling up and fixing?
we haven't,
2?
well,
Lift station.
yeah, that's lift station we've been fixing.
Oh,
Yep, we haven't done anything with the wells since I've been here,
okay,
so
all right.
When was this last done?
I do not know. I haven't seen any documentation of it, since the only documentation I found on well number 2 was when it was put in 2001 or 2002, so it's definitely time to be done.
Where is well number 2?
It's that little building right out here by the playground. You gotta go on a tour, Nikki.
Stop calling me out on that.
I'll do it at a meeting.
Any further discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
Does this mean we should look at well 1 if we don't know when that was? They should be
Well,
done every 5
that'll be a
years.
discussion we'll be having with the guys come budget time when
Put that in.
I will bring that up to you guys on
I
what
think we
I.
should get a handle on that if we've gone.
Absolutely.
If we're well past the 5 years.
Mhm. Well one needs to be upgraded in order to meet with capacity and everything, but we can, another discussion.
Perfect, thank you. All right, let's go to, E1.
Okay. E1, Mayor and Council, in front of you, in the packet is a staff report from John Anderson from Municipal Development Group regarding the picnic shelter and Public Works Building relocation site plan review. The action requested is to approve, deny, or table a site and building plan review for the new picnic shelter at Old Schoolhouse Park and the relocation of the Public Works Building from Old Schoolhouse Park to the current Public Works facility at 323 Shimcor Street. The picnic shelter is to be located at Old Schoolhouse Park, which is zoned public institutional, and the Public Works site located on Shimcor is zoned commercial industrial. He highlights some of the setbacks and requirements for those districts. He has not received any comments from the public at this time, and plans have been submitted to construct a new picnic shelter at Old Schoolhouse Park, and it would be located where the old Public Works building is, and then that building would then be relocated to the new Public Works site. And in order to move a building, the city has to go through a process to approve a site plan for that building with certain conditions. Those are highlighted in the memo. you want me to go through all that? It has to be, similar in structure, in appearance, age, and character as the other existing buildings where it's being relocated, and it has to just meet other, state code and building structure requirements. It has to be compatible with other structures existing on the same property. There is another building on the public works site right now, and the building or structure meets all the other requirements of the city ordinances. Site plan reviews are also required for new structures except single-family residential, so the new picnic shelter will also be part of the site plan review process. He highlights some site plan review requirements listed under section 152.031 of the zoning ordinance. This is kind of highlights what a site plan review requires for submittal and review. And he has provided that information in the following pages of the packet. He explained that since the property, the Public Works building is being relocated to the commercial district, additional design standards would have to be followed. There's a picture of the old Public Works building. He just said that there would have to be some changes to the appearance of that building once it's relocated. Just material and appearance on the outside. At the October 3rd, 2017 Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission voted 6-0 to recommend approval of the new picnic shelter at Old Schoolhouse Park and to relocate the existing Public Works building to Shimcore Street with the following conditions. That the roof of the picnic shelter is a steel roof rather than shingled roof, and that the exterior colors of the picnic shelter are earth tone. So building materials, they're just requesting that some of the changes to those buildings be made. Off-street parking, which is based on the square footage of a building, with the addition of that to the Public Works facility, there would be a requirement to accommodate 2 additional off-street parking stalls to have sufficient parking at that site.
At the Public Works site?
Yeah, because they're adding square footage, I believe that would require, based on the additional square footage, additional off-street parking. And he did say that the site can accommodate those additional parking stalls. A landscape plan is required per zoning ordinance, and John highlights the plan, how it would include, or what it would need to include with regards to landscaping. Right now, he said that it does meet, there are 6 trees that are on the property, and so it would meet they wouldn't have to do additional landscaping requirements for the Public Works building, because it meets the requirements per ordinance. So with that, there are, staff is recommending site and building plan review approval based on with the following conditions listed in the packet. Those would be included as conditions, and they can be altered per your review. Building design standards have to be met. Signage, that if there were any signage, that it would meet all city code requirements. That lighting would be also taken into consideration so that glare wouldn't affect neighboring properties. Noise and vibration generated from any use shall be in compliance. Outdoor storage would also meet the outdoor storage, and screening requirements, stormwater management, and that a building permit, be issued and approved per state building standards. In addition, the roof of the picnic shelter would be a steel roof, not a shingle roof, and the exterior colors of the picnic shelter would be earth tone. So at this time, the possible actions that the council could take is to approve the site and building plan review subject to the conditions that were listed in the packet, table the site and building plan review to a date specific and provide the applicant with directions, the applicant being the city or city staff, or to deny the site and plan review altogether.
Okay. And there should probably be two different motions because they're so different.
Right.
I think we've combined them into one, but I think we have to look at them individually. So maybe we'll start with the park shelter.
But on the other hand, we're just, well, yeah, they should be separate, but we're just approving the site plan. So if we go down the road and find out it's gonna cost us a lot more money to move that old public works building and put it in, we don't have to do it, right? I mean, this is already done.
Yeah.
We're paying for this whether we approve it or not.
Yeah, I guess that's right. Correct, Maggie?
Yeah, I think this is just kind of the step that we need to take in order to kind of then move forward.
Continue moving forward.
Right.
Okay. Okay, then we could probably do them both together from that, because it won't be a yay or nay. It'll have to come back.
And John did include in the packet a resolution that would approve the site plan for the new picnic shelter and the relocation. So if you want to make a motion, that resolution would kind of encompass all of this in one document with the conditions that he laid out in his packet.
But this isn't saying we're gonna move forward, we're gonna start moving buildings until we get further.
Right, this just approves the site plans and the relocation with the conditions that were listed.
If we choose to do
If you choose, yeah, I mean, and he did say that if you feel like some of those conditions need to be altered, that could happen as well. Because I think a couple of them were based on the planning commission's recommendations.
Okay, here's my concern. My concern isn't with the park shelter. My concern is moving the existing building and now having new things we have to do to it now. How much more is that gonna cost, you know? First it was just a move, then we may need a cement pad, now we may need to redo certain things to make it fit close to the building we have. It keeps adding up more, but just approving this doesn't mean we're moving forward with that, correct?
Right, my understanding is that it would just be approving, the possibility that you would.
If it moves, this will be done.
Right, like these are the conditions that we would follow.
It just really feels like we're putting the cart before the horse here. I mean, I don't even know if it makes sense to move this building, but yeah, we spent money on figuring out what the site plan is for where this building could even be going. I get it, where it's part of the process, but it just seems like the process is out of order. We can approve this and decide not to later. I don't know what we spent on having John look at this, but it seems like it's money that kind of could have been spent better in a different place.
Partly from Martine too.
That's true. It just seems like I know that we've had discussion about, this building potentially being that way, and I think at one point they looked at, market value of building new versus moving that. I think that was even before this council is even, the new people are even on this council. I just think we should have relooked at the possibilities of what that moving that building is and what that reality is. And I mean, this is well before.
Well, this is how we do it. We have to.
We spend money.
Experts come out.
We
have the
spend
experts
money.
come out and tell us what we need to do to move it.
But that's not what this is.
Otherwise,
this is what
we'd
it's
just be picking up a building and moving it and then finding out, we
should-
gotta do this to it, or we gotta do that to it, and then
But that's
this
not
is
what,
the right process.
but this isn't what this is. This is about the site plan of what this new building is gonna look like. We don't even know yet if it's even, we can even move the building safely for one thing without moving power lines. And, is the building gonna be stable enough to even use that building when it gets over there?
You have to have the experts look at it and
You do,
say,
but that's not what this
This is what
is.
needs to be done, and
That's a survey of, yes, this building can be moved, and it's gonna survive that move, and, you know, this is what it's gonna look like. This feels like this is the step after that. Right? I don't know.
I see what you're saying, and I struggled a little bit with that, but at one point, we've already made a motion to move the building, but now more information's coming. Well, now if you do move it, now you have to do A, B, C, and now it's turning into, you know, D, E, F, you know, more and more, but at some point, we do have to get that, and
Oh,
still
we
without
do.
moving it, it's a structure, is it gonna be structurally sound? That's what will have to be looked at if we're gonna move it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care what the building's gonna look like when or if it gets there. I just wanna know right now, well, we do later if we can even move the
Safely
thing.
get there.
But,
Well, that's why I wanna make sure we're not authorizing to go move this right now, and then we'll make these changes, because I can't support that right now with these unknowns.
I agree.
Right, and I think the cost of it still has to come in front of you and that approval, like what it's all.
Swear to God, we,
Or did they?
back on April 10th,
Yep.
we approved moving, it was like 13,000,
Yep.
but it had to go to planning commission. That's my notes. We'll need to go to planning commission. We all voted, it was 5-0. Approval of moving public works building, because I remember thinking, oh, I wonder where they're gonna move it, because we had to like do it in the middle of the night, and we had to have Excel come out and move like power lines or something.
Yeah.
And then Kyle says, well, no, we're not doing that right now. So it's like, I feel like we're all over the board
Well,
on
then it
this.
went back to planning, and now these are what,
Okay,
if you are
is
gonna
that
move
what-
it, you have to do you're gonna have to do this.
We're doing it as if someone were to come in here and.
You have to meet your own ordinance and your own
We're
code.
taking the same steps that everybody else has to take.
Oh, yeah, which I agree with.
Well, that's kind of, let's move the building. Structurally sound and everything, the building will make it over there just fine. People move, they freaking move houses and first buildings, sorry.
Right.
They move houses and everything, all the time, and they make it over there just fine. But yeah, now that, okay, now we gotta change the front, we gotta do this, we gotta do that,
Oh,
we
right.
gotta do this, and it's like, okay. Now we take it, I'll take it back, and I'll be like, okay, what are we gonna do to, is it even possible to do it? I mean, should we even do it?
Does it-
The tin on the building?
does it need too much money to make it work?
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, so I just was trying to, like, I'm like,
Yeah.
I swear we proved
Well, we
something.
did.
And I don't mind going backwards on this, but now it's like, you have to approve the site plan,
Well, we probably shouldn't have approved it without this being done.
right, hindsight.
Well, but why get a site plan? If you're not
Well,
gonna
if
get
you're not gonna-
authorized
if
to
you're not
move it,
gonna
why
do
would you get, so it is, but if we're following the same process that that anyone would be following, this seems to be what we have in place, and this is the procedures we take on
Right.
this, so.
Well, what has the park board done since we last talked about this, about building the project? Because I know there was some concern about them spending all of their money in their budget for a building and not having anything left in reserves for anything else. I guess I've never heard a follow-up as to where they're even at on that.
Again, everything had to go through the process and go through the site plan, go through planning commission, so,
Are they wanting to spend their entire
the majority of
budget?
it,
The
not
the majority of their budget?
Yes.
What kind of money are we looking at for the cost of the?
About 200,000, I think there's like 250 or something like that in the budget right now, or it's close to like
So that leaves
$200,000.
$50,000 within the.
That hasn't even gone out for bids yet, correct?
Correct. And this
So
is
we'll
like
have-
based on earlier stuff, and so it hasn't been bidded out yet because we didn't even
So this
hear back from the planning
resolution,
commission yet.
this resolution, this site plan approval is, if we do this,
Well,
then we have to do that.
Well, I get that, but there's so many different moving pieces that need to fall into place for this thing to happen. You know, I mean, so I don't know what this board thinks about the park board spending
Should we have another
all of that money.
quarterly meeting? And we haven't had,
There's another park board meeting tomorrow night.
no, but do we want to have another joint meeting like we had in the past? Because we hadn't had one all summer.
I don't know if we need necessarily to do that. What is the park board's, I mean, are they still ready to move forward with this? That
I
they're
think
still
they are.
comfortable with
I think the
spending that
concerns
money?
are coming from the council. I have that concern, to dump it all on something like this.
Problem is, we don't know the exact number yet.
Well, I know,
So they
I
can
get
go
that,
out.
but we're moving forward on studies and we're spending money on something that may not even happen. I mean, when we're doing something, let's just try to ground this thing into, this is a real possibility of happening, not spending money on studies when there's a good chance it might not happen.
And I think, I know the park board is just kinda, they'll do whatever city council recommends, but wanting to go through the proper chain of command. You know, getting the site plan, going through planning commission, taking it back to council, see what council has to say, so.
So, I mean, that's great to know. I mean, as long as that's what their plan is to say, yes, we're willing to spend the majority of our budget on this one project. And, we haven't heard that in a while, so I think it just seems out of order as the way this is happening.
Because ideally, I think what I'm understanding from the park board is that they really want to make City Hall Community Center, Old Schoolhouse kind of the hub of the community, and really get that park just to be.
I don't think this order is any different than what the newest business in town had to go through, and, you know,
Well,
it seems.
the difference between a new business coming to town and the city buying something is it's taxpayer money that's being spent.
No, I
And
get
it's
that.
not-
No, I
it's not
get that.
my money, it's not the business owner's money.
I understand that, but we're not, I mean, now we're just talking about the site, the procedure we're taking appears to be what Casey's would have had it done anyway.
Sure.
And I understand the money part.
But when Casey's did that, they knew that they wanted that to happen. They wanted that building to be here, so they're under the assumption that we're going to do it. I don't think right now that, we're not sure, is this thing even necessarily gonna happen? There's concerns about us spending all that tax money on one project.
They might have, but.
I'm done beating a dead horse. To me, it just feels like it's a little out of order. It's been a project that's been running for a long time. I can see how it happens, but.
All right, do we have a motion to approve resolution 10-9-17-36, approving the site plans for the picnic shelter at Old Schoolhouse Park and relocating the Public Works building?
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second? Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Yeah, I tend to agree somewhat with Eric on that, but I just want to make sure it's clear that we're not moving forward on anything. We'll be coming back with dollar amounts. I understand we do have to have it looked at, assessed, and make sure we're keeping up with our own standards, our own codes that we would expect any business to do, but it does seem a little out of order. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That'll take us to the fire department, 2018 fire contracts.
Okay, Mayor and Council, in front of you is just a breakdown of the fire department, budget and kind of how we've done it in the past. It's based on, we do service 4 different townships, besides the city of Mare, and so, with that budget that we set for the fire department every year, the townships do pay about 27% of that. And so staff did get an updated parcel number for each of those townships, and so, based on a previous algorithm that we've used in the past, that's in front of you today, with expenses, truck payment, and total contract for each of those townships. And so, I wanted to bring the contract in front of you for approval so that I could then get these contracts to the townships, and then they can process it for approval. And so they can kind of budget for next year, and then we can get the kind of those contracts signed for next year as well.
Outside of the number of parcels, a very minimal change from last year's contract.
Yeah, yep. Yep, this is a contract we've used in the past, so.
And the formula.
And the formula, yep.
And the formula never changes from year to year? I think it changed twice. I think it's set up that
In the contract there. It talks about meeting, the mayor agrees to create a fire board, which we have.
Yep.
And they meet the fifth Monday of a month.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. I mean, there might be some things that need to be kind of updated.
Looking at, I guess, I mean, I'm taking that, we can only pick months then that have a fifth Monday, so we're not
Right.
getting the second and fourth. I get it, but it seems
Yeah, it seems a little strange.
strange. But if it's been there, if it's been like that, maybe just check into that.
Okay.
See what the townships think of that.
Okay.
How many times do we meet?
No, like 3/5 Monday.
Yeah, there's not a lot of them.
Two or three.
This month there's one.
John, have you been involved in there?
We haven't had a fire board meeting yet, but we haven't, there hasn't been a reason to.
Okay.
Now, we may after this contract, likely meet on it, but we haven't. There hasn't been a need. All right, I'll look for a motion to approve, is this a resolution? Maggie, or is it just approving the contract? No resolution?
Oh, yeah, just approving the contract, yeah.
I'll look for a motion to approve the, 2018 fire contract with the townships. We have a motion, do we have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, other business,
Okay, so, in front of you is there was a letter that was sent, and by a resident at 1123 Hidden Creek Boulevard. So I wanted to bring this to you because there was a request that the council consider, making some changes to the code, but, and I just brought it to you as well to kind of show that staff has looked into the concerns of the resident. The concern was that there was an old deck and the neighboring property that was what I found to be 12 by 12 feet. It was just like no stairs going down. It was just a deck that kind of came off the top floor. And it was like a building permit was taken out to take that one down and to put up a four-season porch and deck that had stairs that went down. So I included that information in the packet. I guess there was concern about like the size of it and then the intrusiveness, the new intrusiveness of that structure. And I did talk with the city planner about this kind of, did it meet setbacks? Did it meet all the requirements? It did meet building code. It did meet setbacks. And so it's kind of one of those things that if it meets code, if it meets building standards, there's not much. I mean, people are free to kind of do with what they want on their properties with the code that's in place. And so the request was for the city council to maybe change the code to have a public hearing or a notice to neighboring properties if a structure changes to a certain size. I mean, right now, it's not the case at all. You don't have to do that if it meets code. And so I guess that is something I just wanted to bring in front of you today. I think it gets tricky when you set stricter parameters, especially when it's, I think people want to do certain things with their property. But I just wanted to bring that in front of you today because there was a request to change those standards, and if you have any questions,
Thank you for adding it. I wasn't sure if anyone else got the same letter. This one was sent to me. I did go over, talk to the resident. He wanted to show me what the neighbor's addition was, and I told him, this is what Rick had been working on previously, if somebody remember that. Just said everything was done to code, everything was done like they should. There's no reason they couldn't have done what they did, and he talked about maybe making some changes, and this gentleman is on the Planning and Zoning Commission, so I said, well, that's where it should start. You need to take it to the Planning and Zoning. If there's some recommendations you want to change to some of those, that's absolutely the place to start it. And if it goes anywhere and gets some momentum, then it'll come to council. So as far as I'm concerned, we let it sit with Planning and Zoning if they feel it's necessary. I don't think we should be having residents' input on every code that someone follows. I just don't think that's the way to do it. Everything was followed properly, everything was done properly, the proper permits, nothing exceeded any setbacks, everything was done, so.
It's something to think through for, certainly it's a valid concern, but when you start doing that, you just open up the door for neighbors fighting, and they're never gonna allow anything to happen, you know?
Right, yeah.
Just out of jealousy or whatever.
And it shouldn't be, and you can't have a neighbor not allow something because they may or may not like that person.
They don't want it, I know,
Just for those reasons, that's why we have these. So, that's why it's here, everyone take a look, just to keep everyone aware of it. I just wanna make sure I get that in front of people, but, I did indicate planning and zoning is certainly the place to start those conversations.
So this started out as just the deck, right?
Mhm.
And then they came back in and then revised the
Well, it was
plans for
there was like a current structure that was built years ago that was a deck, and then they removed it and
Okay.
replaced it with my understanding.
A larger
A larger.
Well, then they put in a three-season, larger or not, I'm not sure, and then a deck around with steps going the opposite way.
So the city was informed, I mean, they got the permits every time that they came in.
So, it's more FYI than anything, and we'll see if it gains any momentum at planning and zoning. If it does, it'll certainly come here. Anything else on that? All right, enforcement of codes, vehicles.
Okay, this is just a quick item I threw on there, 'cause we have been getting some complaints regarding vehicles or recreational vehicles being parked on the grass. And when I write letters, I like to specify where in the code it's written, but I can't find anywhere in our code that says that's prohibited. Like, it doesn't, usually in a code.
It
I
was
thought
in
that
the,
just had a.
Yeah, but wasn't there?
it was in one of the, it's in our neighborhood, it's in the covenant.
Okay, yeah, some neighborhoods have
About
covenants.
There's a six
Yeah.
month in there that you have to, you can actually park in your, I think, but it says driveway. You
Yeah.
can park in your you can have a boat park in your driveway for no more than 6 months,
Right.
so you're not having to visit a
Yeah,
or-
covenants are stricter. The city doesn't have anything that states specifically that you can't. And so, from our standpoint, like a staff standpoint, we can't enforce that right now because we don't have written
Can't enforce the covenants anyway, can we?
No, we can't. So that's like a homeowners association deal. And so I guess my question was, is this something that we wanna review at planning and zoning? Do we wanna, like, change our
I think
code?
it's something we
Like,
absolutely need to review.
I think we
It
need
should
to
be a
look
hard
at that.
surface, people just shouldn't be able to put campers, boats,
You have to
ATV
park them.
along the grass and weeds growing up underneath them. I absolutely think we
There's
need
so
to do something
many of
about
them
that.
though. I mean, there's just, I don't know if there's not enough room for people's stuff, what? There's a big
Don't
pop-out
think-
trailer parked on the main street.
So I think we need to move forward on it. If we need a work session, great, otherwise if you can start
Mhm.
working with the planning commission. I know I've seen them somewhere, and like we talked, maybe it was in the covenants that I
Mhm.
read, but I thought for sure I've seen them somewhere. We've enforced it before, previous,
yeah, I've seen
so,
it enforced, I just,
but I couldn't find it either. I looked through all of it, and I couldn't find it either.
Wasn't in that email that Rick sent earlier in the
Yeah,
spring?
yeah.
Did he say something?
He sent something and I looked at it and it gives
Not
you,
real clear.
it gives you parking standards, but it doesn't say anything about, it just, if
I thought
you're
it had
gonna
to be on
make
some
a,
sort of surface.
A hard surface.
it gives,
but I don't know
yeah,
if
it gave
it's
you like
covenants.
directions on how to create a parking surface, but it doesn't say anything about vehicles being parked on that surface. It's just the surface itself,
Yep.
like how,
So
Yeah.
I think that needs to certainly be looked at and something we could make a little more robust to be able to enforce.
Well, I think you're probably also need to address parking of trailers and vehicles along the roadway as well, because that happens in the city a lot too. place them from the side of somebody's house, and they're ending up sitting on the street.
They're gonna go
What
somewhere.
And
kind
we
of
do have the
channel
parking
is that?
regulation.
We have parking that they have to move it every 24 hours.
Right.
And you can have a parking pad on the side of your house to park it on, but, yeah, it would just couldn't be on the grass, I guess. And, but I think there is a provision in there that states you can't park
Just
on the
drive around
street
town.
for over 24 hours.
Yeah, that's in our parking regulation.
I'm sure there's one written somewhere, but
Yeah.
it's not being enforced.
No.
Yeah, I've written a couple letters, so far,
All
but,
right, anything more on that? Do we need any
I
more
mean,
direction?
if you wanna maybe pull, if you can get Waconia's parking statutes, maybe Watertown,
mhm,
Victoria, I mean, those three cities that are around us, and
Yep.
see what they're doing, and we can maybe look at those and see what they can do over here.
okay.
Yeah, you're gonna have there's gonna be a lot of unhappy.
Just drive
people.
around town and look
There's
at
a lot.
Oh, yeah.
But our, yeah,
Well, 'cause see, like in the letter he sent, did you look at the letter he sent to the residents? He put
Yeah.
in quotes, all parking areas shall be paved, hard surface with
Yeah, there's,
concrete or brick pavers.
must have found a couple of
A parking,
This is according to the city's zoning ordinance. That's what he sent to the residents.
Continue to work with John, see if John finds anything on it, but I know he sent out that, but we couldn't find anything.
so that was Rick that sent that to us. Interesting.
All right, continue to report on that.
He surely cited the ordinance there, didn't he?
Yeah, it said
And that was the one we looked at, it wasn't real clear when you read it.
Oh.
requirements of off-street parking. Okay, I just, 'cause I'm like, I remember them saying that it could be grass, but if you guys went and
Right.
actually looked at it then.
All right, I'll look for motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, anyone need a minute or two before we get into the work session, or?
I just would like an agenda. So,
Yes, please. Thank you.
I just write in it, and then that's how I find things.
You want to make a comment, or she gets a comment?
She gave me a copy.
Oh, you got one? Okay.
Oh, did you go? I don't care how bad they are.
If anyone hasn't signed in, could you please sign in on the sign-in sheet if you didn't get a chance? Thank you. And please stay, we're gonna have a work session now if anyone wants to stay. No.
Don't leave.
Yeah, don't leave. Unless they're coming here.
It's nice to
I
have
guess
residents.
if you look at ordinance 153.06, it talks about parking, so you have to have 2 off-street parking spaces. And then it has to be, meet the specifications.
But I know the problem with it, if it's in zoning, then it's not enforceable by sheriff's, by our enforcement arm, the sheriff's office, because they're not gonna write zoning tickets, it's gonna have to be codified in
City ordinance.
Who
Okay.
enforces, covenants?
Most people don't
You
even
have,
know they're in
you
an
have
HOA.
to, that's,
Your
the thing is
association.
there is, you have to have an association, and I know that in our development, there is no
So if there's no
association. And I'd
association,
imagine in yours there isn't, so.
So it's not just the developer, you can't go back to the developer and say, hey, these are your,
No, I don't think so.
you need to enforce
All the
them.
neighbors have to get together, don't they?
Yeah.
Majority of the neighbors have to get together, and I don't know if they handle
Why
it
have
themselves.
We all have HOA covenants, but there is no HOA.
So, yeah, so that's, so then the question begs is, can somebody just do that civilly without having the homeowners association? And I wonder if, you probably can.
I don't know, we've had that conversation
Yeah,
though,
we-
but you have to get the majority of the,
I think it would need to be a city ordinance, like you said, where it's enforceable, so, yeah.
okay, come on. What's on the work session?
Yeah.
I was ready to go.
Yeah, let's go with on it.
Yeah, I don't know that I even looked at that. Did I get that far?
Are we gonna have a work session after every council, or are we gonna get on like a once a
We're gonna
month?
get on it once a month.
Okay.
We're trying to get caught up on, because we didn't have them.
Right, for, yeah.
preferably.
We're making up for all the short meetings we
Preferably
had.
one,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Darn it.
Those were good days.
Yeah.
Those were already done, okay.
All right, we'll call the work session to order, and we'll just jump right into the community center rates. Maggie, if you're ready.
Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of review this item. So we have some residents that came forward to us wanting to kind of utilize the community center. And that kind of made me and Janelle kind of review everything, and we're like, we don't really have a policy in place for the community center right now, and the rates that we charge, which are on, which I provided in the packet, it's like we have some good rates, but just thinking maybe we should maybe look at it a little bit closer, just 'cause we do kind of focus on like wedding or bigger events, and then you know, we do have some rates for like smaller uses, but and I do have the residents here. They can give us a little more history on, a little background on kind of what they want to do moving forward with the community center. They have homeschool here in Mare. They live in Mare and they homeschool their children, and so I think they want to use the facility sometimes for that use, the gym and that upper area as well. And so
that's what drove some of this.
This is what drove it.
Okay.
It's just kind of to open that discussion again, to maybe have a policy and just create a policy and kind of look at it a little bit closer. We want as much use of the community center, and we want to promote that as much as possible. And we understand too that, you know, there are, they did say, you know, they're on a budget, so they're just wondering how much this is going to cost them to use the facility. And so I just gave a couple examples from neighboring cities, kind of what they do, some cities just categorize different groups of, you know, residents or in the community, or businesses in the community and outside of the community. And I guess I thought, you know, upon reviewing it, maybe it was something we could look at.
Okay. You guys want to come up to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please?
Sure. I'm Sarah Martini, my husband's Ryan, and we live at 1519 Hidden Trail.
And I'm Katie Reese. We live at 2221 Coldwater Crossing.
And we're here representing a couple other families as well that are that homeschool in Mare. And so we came asking, just like what she said, to use the space for gathering on like a bi-weekly basis, and it would be for a handful of hours, 3-4 hours maybe, that we could just get families together to do some work together and then use the gym space during that time. And
during the day?
During the day, and so we found that it's currently not being used during the time that we would be looking, and so we're just hoping that, we know we've talked to some other homeschoolers in other communities that are able to use their spaces on they can register, but they don't have to pay for that space, just as part of the community benefit, and so that's what we're looking for. And
are they using like school property and school district type things?
No, a community center, not school.
Okay. Cool.
Right now, we're using a church, but it doesn't have, just for free, but it doesn't have a gymnasium. So, from winter, we would like something where they can utilize that. So they just basically run around outside for that. But we do, what do we do today? A little art project, a little read a book, read books, do little relays, activities, but.
And we're all very involved in cleaning up after ourselves.
Yeah.
And the parents are all here,
We're all
totally
there,
actively involved, so we would be, in charge.
I would be open to looking at something like that, assuming it fits in with what we have there already with Kids Company. and, well, that, does that work? I would be open to that. I think there needs to be a cost, and certainly it doesn't need to be as high as these, probably not. Some of that cost is for our janitors, the lights, for some of those basic things.
Sure.
Or if something gets damaged, broke,
Right.
obviously, right? But
Right, we understand. Yeah.
I'd be open if you wanna work through another work session and trying to, some proposal, what you were thinking, how often, what, it's a little more detail, unless you have some of that now. How, what days a week, a couple hours, what are you thinking would be a reasonable, I personally, I'd be willing to try to work something. I think it's a good idea for that sort of thing.
I've been completely for utilizing it, like for birthday parties, like, 'cause I remember I wanted to rent the space for my mom's celebration of life, and it was like $250. I couldn't do like a short period of time, and I was only able to use the upper part. It was strictly told to me that I was not allowed to use the gym space at the time. And I ended up going to Chanhassen Rec Center and rented 2 rooms for $45 for 3 hours, and just because I couldn't afford $250, so that's why we had talked about this in previous work sessions, is like putting together like a birthday package. Like, my son has a birthday in the winter, I don't want to pay $250, but if I only had to pay $40 for 2 or 3 hours and have the kids run around the gym and I cleaned up, and do like a cleaning deposit or something. But okay, go ahead.
So we meet now every other Monday, and for a few hours, it's our co-op.
And we're flexible, so, if there is for different timing or something that works better, that you're open, we're flexible in moving that. So it's not, we can come up with a proposal. We were kind of coming in just saying, we're flexible, what can you offer, was more our question of, when are you available and what would the rates be? And in speaking with Maggie, it sounded like there were, some groups can be charged a different amount, and if you're a registered nonprofit, and since we're just a group of local citizens, we're not registered anything, that ours would be a different rate than like a nonprofit rate, and so, that's part of it too, is just that we're just.
Well, I tell you what, you guys being a co-op of local citizens, working at homeschooling your kids, I think that means a lot. I'm definitely supportive of doing something for you. Well, there was a few years back, and it's probably been, different council members were here, Bruce Osborne had pushed to get some open gym time, and that did happen, correct?
Yeah, but nobody used it.
At one point, yeah. I think that's, there was some open gym time.
The thing about that is if you do that and you don't charge anybody anything, then that does not leave it for this group to exclusively come in and do what they want. So
what if there was just like an open gym time sometime? Would you be opposed to having your co-op come in, and then there would be other people that might come in and play basketball in the background? Would that work for you, or would that not work for you?
Well, we do.
I think because we're looking to use the space both for educational part and also having the active, part of it, that maybe that would not work, because then it would be hard for us to do the educational part of it together if other kids are playing basketball, so that's kind of why we were looking that this would be a perfect space, that we can use kind of a sit-down area for a portion of our time, maybe we can time it so that our gym time can be the same as yours, But like I said, we would be here to,
So are you asking for it for free, or are you,
I think,
like a minimum fee?
that would be great, but if it's not, we're willing to pay
Okay.
a minimal fee, but, what it looked like on here was like, you have to have a 2-hour minimum, $18.50 an hour, and we felt like, as community members and with talking to other homeschoolers, that was a little bit out of our reach. And so we're looking to,
So how many hours were you thinking every other Monday?
Well, I think 4, but we can do less.
For each time?
Yes. So that would be every other
And
8 hours
approximately
a day.
we get together and we do our thing as with all of our kids, and then we have 2 groups. So we have an older group of kids and a younger group of kids, and do our projects with them. and then we get together and do kind of just playtime. So that's our school, that we get to, that's our co-op school every other week. So it's not just for
And how many kids? Or how many families, I should say?
6
6 families?
families,
17
not 17.
I'd be open for that sort of thing to try to,
So $150 is too much a month, right?
Yeah, that's,
$75
I
a
mean,
week, if you're here for 4 hours.
yeah.
That
So,
price is,
yeah, I guess
that's
that's-
what we charge Lutheran High. Is Lutheran High no longer using our gym for their sports? Because that could be an issue. They go after school though.
I don't know if they are anymore. I don't know if they use it anymore.
So, Kids Company has morning and after school during the school year.
Uh-huh.
Currently, there's not enough kids for morning, but that could change. After-school care, they come in about 2:30. Morning, we have the card players in there till 10, 8 to 10. We have every other Monday, the seniors dinner in there. So, I was talking with them a little bit about that every other Monday would work, as long as that first Monday of the month didn't hit on the seniors dinner. So there would be a little bit of scheduling. They would not be using it over the summer where Kids Company would be in there all from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They're looking for just the school year. So it seemed like there was a time during the day that wasn't being utilized that would have fit their need.
And you guys are flexible, so if there was a scheduling that
Yeah.
it'd get moved?
We're just
Oh, yeah.
homeschooling moms.
No, I know.
Our days are flexible.
Yes. And I think maybe just to address, because they're not the first people to come into the city to ask to use the facility.
Yep, I know, we have to address it.
Yeah, and if there's some way that it could be written where there's a certain amount of time that people could rent for, as long as the space is available, and as long as you guys decide, what's acceptable, that would be, we would really get a little more use out of the community center. High voltage volleyball is used in the spring, but in the evening, so.
Are you thinking summer long too?
No, just during the school year.
You just use during the school year.
What are you proposing?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
I mean, right now it's $18.50, I mean, half.
I guess when we came up and talked to Maggie, I mentioned like St. Bonnie, for their residents to use, I have a friend there that has used their community center, and they don't charge as long as they call. They have to register to be there at a certain time. You can't just show up and use it for free. But that's for their residents, so then that's what made us kind of start talking, like, well, I wonder what Maida does. So we came up and started talking, this isn't it would be really nice to be here, but now we drive into Laconia to use the.
And some of that, yeah.
Can you grab St. Bonnie's policy on that, make sure that's
It's on
how
here.
it's worded?
And I get
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I can-
Nonprofit groups within St. Bonnie free.
Some of it's the wear and tear, things get broke, using the restrooms, they have to get clean, I mean, that's.
Yeah, I mean, if there was some sort of damage deposit or something that we needed to pay, we totally understand that, and we don't want to take advantage of this space, but, it being available for, community use.
What are we doing for Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts right now?
They're nonprofit.
They're nonprofit.
And they're free.
And you're not a registered nonprofit, right?
Oh.
I think that's.
Certainly not for profit.
Considering that it is school, though, do we want to put something in there for schools? Well, maybe
It's
state.
that you have to be a registered nonprofit.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Well,
where the
nonprofit
that's
groups
where the
within
eighteen
St.
fifty
It's a
came.
nonprofit group, they're a
My
nonprofit group.
friend is she just used it for a gathering, it wasn't for.
Because, I meuld like to see if our Boy Scouts or Girl Scout group wanted to use our our city hall, that they, or, you know, community center, that they should be able to come and use that.
I think they
They
do,
do. There is a
firearm
meeting.
safety.
Okay.
But they're also 501c3.
What about firearm safety? They're not a 501c3.
I'm sure they're,
They're state sponsored by the DNR, but they're not a.
If I may, I'm Sarah's husband. Obviously the purpose of this is to create both community, education, and growth for Mayor citizens, so it's a benefit to the city. If there are currently organizations that are using the facility for no charge, and they may or may not be citizens of the Mayor, so they're not paying for that facility currently, certainly there's a benefit for a citizen of Mayor to be able to utilize the facility that we do pay for. And obviously, from a perspective of damage or liability, anything like that, if a citizen has an issue right now, certainly there are ways for the city to come after that citizen. So I don't know that that would necessarily be a concern either, or if it is, something certainly could be written up to take care of that. And if there is a protocol in place or some type of procedure in place that is allowing organizations, whether they be nonprofit or not, to be able to use the facilities, I guess part of this process was to find a way so that there could be a standardized procedure or operating procedures put in place, so that at least we would have something to be able to determine if that's going to be of value for us to be able to use it. And if it's not currently being used, certainly then it's a way for, again, a Mayor citizen to be able to take advantage of that. And so the parents are there the entire time, each parent for each of the kids that are there. So the oversight is certainly there, and the majority of the time is in education. It's not in just a free gym time. And even from the gym time, it's still going to be structured in that place as well, just as any other school person has today in a school that they pay for, which obviously we pay for as well, we just don't utilize it for our own personal reasons. So this would be an opportunity to be able to take advantage of what the city offers its citizens for being here.
Well, and I agree with you completely.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to see you be able to use it.
I just want to put this a little bit more structured from that perspective, and so if that does require, like I said, you know, some operating procedures to be put in place, then that at least would allow the families to evaluate that procedure. We actually have lived in St. Bonnie prior to moving here, and we used the facilities as well. We actually used the old building before they even had added to the new one. We didn't pay for anything because we were citizens of St. Bonifacius, and that was a requirement in order to use it. We used it for an all-day event. It was actually a Super Bowl party, believe it or not, for a group of business owners. We were a nonprofit. Actually, we were for-profit as business owners. If it's a matter of establishing a nonprofit status, you know, as a school, that's actually fairly, opportunity if that's what would be required. But again, that standard should maybe be set ahead of time, so we would know
I
that.
believe we do have some policies and some things in place.
So it's just not being followed then?
Well, we have like a.
Why are you thinking it's not being followed?
Well, you said that some people, you said organizations aren't being charged anything.
It's not an organization, they're a group of people that come in and play cards.
Okay.
And they're not saying, it's only our group that's gonna be here
Mhm.
for this amount of time.
Sure.
They
Okay.
So,
Okay. You mentioned the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts and the firearm safety and some of the other organizations.
all nonprofits.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
but
there is.
are they registered nonprofits versus just being a nonprofit group? So that's why I'm saying.
Yeah, I
what-
agree.
What does St. Bonifacius say is a nonprofit? Do they have a definition of what that is?
That was not a requirement when I did it.
I don't know, and I included in your packet the rules and regulations currently for rentals for our city. And that's why I brought it.
You certainly can clean them up a little bit,
Yeah,
that's
I
for
agree with
sure.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
And
That's
maybe
fine.
if it's they need to be cleaned up, then maybe there can be an addendum added or an adjustment that an organization like a co-op or like something that is scheduled ahead of time, it is not just come as you use, that there's an opportunity for citizens of the Mayor to be able to use the facilities that Mayor has.
Well, that was something I was gonna recommend, is that if you're a homeschooling group or a co-op, 50% of the cost. And there's no reason they should have to pay full prices for a regular
No, I
scheduled
agree,
meeting.
I'm all for, letting them use it, not necessarily for free, but not necessarily for as much as what, our
Right
fee
side.
schedule is
Correct.
either. Half is fine with me.
Mhm.
Get on the schedule, no one else can use it at that time, so we need something for that, I would think, just for,
And then when you look at it that way, divided among 6 families, if you're here 4 hours.
$75 a month.
How do you, yeah, I mean, and divide
So
it
if
up.
we were a nonprofit, then there would not be a cost then, is what you're saying?
I'm not
If we're
sure we
registered?
haven't, I mean, typically we let a nonprofit come and use it.
I have no idea.
And that's what Watertown does, Watertown does break out.
List out.
It lists out their nonprofits.
We'll have to do some looking,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, I don't think you guys should have to
But-
pay. And like Watertown says, they do a 50% discount for Watertown schools and churches, so.
And that's how we saw it.
I have no
As
problem
citizens
with
are building
50%.
as well, right? If it's scheduled, just like I don't know if the park pavilion as an example would require, what we were talking about earlier, this evening, would that require a fee to be able to use?
For a large event, yes. If you wanted to reserve it and rent it out, yes.
And as a resident, you get a discount. I mean, the
Sure.
residents
Well, that's
don't
fine.
get it
Yep.
free.
Right.
Just a discount if you're a resident, that's pretty
I
typical.
think for all the reasons you said,
Yeah.
I'm in favor of doing something.
Well, yeah, I mean, we want you to
Right.
use it. I mean, it's a
Absolutely.
perfect space, because you have the upper side for the educational, and then you can do the gym.
And, to
Which
be
is
fair, I
educational.
would guess that if there was a known co-op organization that is structured, there are many homeschool families in Mare community, that you would probably see that grow as well, which obviously would even attract more stable families to Mare. So there's a benefit to the city as well.
And the more you get, the lower the cost, the individual family's cost would go down, so.
Tax roll will go up, yes. It's kind of a.
So why don't we, Maggie, why don't you start doing some research on this, start getting some wording put together on how we can structure this properly, that we don't open it up to too much of a, that now everyone's saying, hey, I'm an organization, I'm coming in now too, I wanna do this, and it's strictly just for basketball pickup game, not the educational side of things. So I think we have to structure it properly.
And you're gonna bring your own gym stuff.
Yeah, everything.
We don't really have that.
It's just warmer in here than it is out there.
Yep.
What? No, I'm kidding.
It is Minnesota
And the
after
kids
all.
need their PE time.
Well, and even if there are a lot of, organizations that want to use it, whether they're, citizens of Mare or not, certainly that, there's some value to being a member, for here, but also that's what the scheduling is for, correct? So if there is something that's predetermined, an organization could come and say, hey, we'd like to use it, what's available? There's a schedule, maybe it's online, maybe it's not, but they could be able to see that.
No, and we've talked about this, previous to this council, bringing it up, and then we just haven't come back to it a little bit more, especially since I was running into some of the same things, and I'm a resident of the city, and saying I only want it for 3 hours, I don't wanna pay $250, and I don't only wanna use the upper part, what am I supposed to tell my kids, cannot go down the stairs, I mean.
This is a little different than just renting it.
No, I understand, but I'm just saying, in general, this is a good
Yeah.
thing that you guys are coming and bringing it, and I appreciate you guys coming in and talking with us, because I feel like, we wanna hear from the residents, what do you wanna use it for? How can we make this more, work for you? Just make sure that you notify kids companies so that they put their stuff away, 'cause
Well, that won't happen.
what?
Kids companies not gonna put their stuff away on a daily basis.
No, but on those Mondays.
No, 'cause I have to use it on Monday evening for the after school.
They usually just stick it in a corner or,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
why
work something out that
Yeah, I
they
mean,
get
If
the
we told
gym.
them not to touch it, they wouldn't touch it.
Okay.
They're pretty good.
It's more of an energy release.
Well, no, but
now.
when you guys have other events, they put the stuff away that night.
But it would be a Monday, and so they come in and there's a good possibility when they do come in on Monday, when they come in later in the day, that they will pull everything out if they put some away for the weekend. But I can tell you, I've had conversations with them about,
We'll have to work through that.
how much
Right.
time they wanna spend doing that, and right now they're doing it too much.
Okay, you're the
Yeah.
one that's having those conversations.
Yeah.
And perhaps there's a
And the other
definition of
thing-
put away.
That I have gotten from, the ladies in there and then from Amy Dimler about sometimes there are classes in there where they have, their, I don't know, their health classes in there or their fitness classes. and they'll bring the kids in there, and I've asked them, are you okay with them being on the equipment? And she said that's fine. They didn't have any issue with it.
Well, that was because it was a community ed, and Kids Company is community ed.
No, it was just the kids, because they're they don't know who lives in town and who doesn't, but it would be worth having a conversation with them with this class, and it just didn't seem like it was an issue if they were on the mats or if they're reading the books. I mean, that was the impression that I got.
Okay.
But we certainly can have a conversation.
Well, I just wanted to make sure they had space, if they were gonna rent the space, and that Kids Company is just aware, because I know they put stuff away when there are events happening in the evening that night, and I know it's kind of a pain.
Well, we'll have staff working on
They won't do it, or they don't want to.
and work with Kids Company.
Any idea time-wise, like what our next follow-up step would be?
For sure 2 weeks from the next meeting.
Okay.
What's today? So we have,
Today
2 weeks from today is our next meeting.
Well,
If-
can't we let them
if
in
they're
the
prepared-
meantime? Let's just let them in the meantime on what we decided. Is that a bad thing? They wanna get going, school year started.
Well, one, we can't make.
Getting
decisions.
cold outside.
We can't reduce the fee here, we can't make those decisions in a work session.
I understand that.
So we'd have to wait 2 weeks,
Okay.
unless they wanna pay $18.50 an hour.
It's not that we don't want to, it's,
I get that.
none of us moms
I
work, so
understand, and
we live
I
paycheck to
maybe
paycheck,
didn't
so
mean it
it's
that way,
like.
then. I also.
So from a fee perspective, would you request us to bring you a proposal then that you would vote on at that next meeting?
Possibly.
And
We'll
I
see
can
what
work
staff
with you,
comes
like,
up.
I can
Staff will
start
work with
working
you.
on, like, my own research, kind of, just kind of, what I do is I like to look at other communities and put together, kind of, get information from those communities, like the things that, I think will work for the city of Mayor, and then, I can work with you guys, see what your thoughts are, what you would like to see, and then we can bring it to the council with some options to see kind of what their thoughts are, if they like things, if they wanna tweak things and stuff like that. So,
When is our open gym time set for? We never dissolved that. Technically, we still have open gym.
I don't even remember talking about that.
No, we have it.
Long time ago.
There's-
All right,
there's a way
yep,
to-
staff
we'll do
will
this.
Thank
work
you.
with you, and we can figure something out, I think.
All right.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
thank you.
All right, benefits.
Okay, so, kind of as we move forward with the budget, I know I kinda wanna have workshops that have budget items on it. So, I know we wanna talk about capital improvements, kind of where we're at on those. One of the things that in the preliminary budget that we discussed was possibly, in the preliminary budget, we did budget for a $200 increase towards benefit contributions for health insurance. And so, I've been working with Al with AT Group. I've worked with AT Group in the past and Al in the past, on municipal benefits. And so I just wanted to bring him here today just to kind of show kind of where we're at as compared to other communities, just to open that conversation if that's something we want to do, to keep it at that 800, or when that final budget time comes in December, if we want to keep it at the 600. So that's kind of where we're at today. I included some health insurance Al was kind enough to provide me with some health insurance benchmark studies that kind of compares us to other cities. And then just some of the findings are on the back of that. And Al is here too to provide some additional information and answer some questions. Just like as I said, each work session I want to kind of, as we move through kind of combing through the budget a little bit more, I want us to make those decisions kind of before we get to the December meeting when we finalize that budget, just so we have an idea of, like, these are decisions that we feel comfortable with, so.
I would like to see more specifics on the plan, and I was looking at some of your numbers, and 96% of the groups have a plan that pays 100% co-insurance after the annual deductible is met. I have never seen an insurance plan like that. It's usually 80%.
No, they haven't, but the deductible is higher.
Well, but that's the new way that insurance is going. It's a low premium, high deductible. That's where most insurances are going, but typically it's still even 80% after deductible has been met.
I have a lot of questions about this whole thing too.
Yeah, so I guess I would need to see more specifics, because I've worked in the insurance world as well, the health insurance, so.
Why don't I introduce myself? I'm Al Roth. That's nothing magical. I'm with the AT Group. We specialize in employee benefits for public groups. I've been in this space for about 35 years now. I currently work with close to 200 public groups throughout the city of Southern. So these are just based on what other probably cities of our like size within a general area of this, what their benefit package looks like. Not that the city has to compile their benefit package to look like that, but some of the things that we do see in the public sector, it's interesting, I find it interesting, that an employee will leave here, we'll get the paperwork processed, if the employee leaves, terminated, make sure the COVID paperwork goes out and following compliance items. And then all of a sudden, with a week or two later, it's interesting, we'll get a set of applications for that employee that now has moved over to this city or this county or this school district over here. And one of the things about the public sector, it seems, is that people will move when they do move from one public employer to another public employer. And I'm not saying that necessarily how you have to structure your benefits, but again, over 35 years, it's been an interesting run for me. We can almost see the different groups that their benefit package maybe is lesser than what some of the other public groups within that commute area of 30 to 40 miles makes available. And it's troubling that those groups that have, unfortunately, what appears to be a lesser benefit package end up being almost like a puppy mill. Because attract an employee for a while, or the first-time employees that need experience, or the police officers, or stay there for what appears to be a long enough period of time to have some experience, to simply go over to Norway Young American, Laconia, or whoever else is right here in the general vicinity, because they live here and they're not really interested in relocating, and they can receive maybe a different benefit package or whatever it might be. So we see it time and time and time again. Even a little city of Osaka that I was talking to today, which is not a big city. They have 8 or 9 employees, and I was speaking to Angela today, and she said, this council, what they're approving at tonight's meeting is the amount that we make available on this sharing public information per employee is $1,200 a month. So what you decide to do is obviously your decision as a council. Your responsibility. I don't have a personal incentive to see you bump that number up or to include a greater percentage. And the reason I say that, by state law, we receive compensation directly from the carrier. It's not something that they can build in or they can take out in small groups, which is less than 50 full-time employees. A flat $21. A flat $21 per employee per month. Doesn't make a difference if the employee has single coverage, with himself, spouse, and 4 other kids. But it does make a difference to the council or to the city based on is the package we have, pay package, benefit package, how does it compare to what other cities are in our general area? The other thing I would ask you to consider is you have a health package, a dental package, and a life plan. Give some thought, if you would, please, to a disability. It doesn't have to be overly comprehensive, but you can put in a real decent disability plan to at the cost of probably about $30 to $50 a month per employee. And that's a program that would have bells and whistles that you would want to have be there when the rubber meets the road. Partial disability benefit, return to work, all these various different things that you would want to, I'm guessing, have if your employee experienced a disability. You're in a small enough community here. My guess is some of your staff live in or around this community, and if something happened to one of those staff people, and they weren't able to return back to work within a reasonable amount of time, or maybe at all, my guess is other people in the community would know. Just from did you hear about Al? What about Al? Well, you know, he got hurt, or injured, or sick, or whatever it might be, you know, that came back again, he's going in for treatments again. Yeah, they had to put their house up for sale. They did. Oh, that's really too bad. Will you ever be able to return back to the city? Sounds like he's not. The doctor just doesn't think he'll ever get back to that level. So again, I'm simply saying that if you would give that some consideration. You get calls probably on a weekly basis with someone that's either been diagnosed with someone, came down with something, or whatever it might be.
Do you, occasionally see where the governments will, instead of charging a specific amount, they usually charge like a amount of PTO? Because I know who I work for, for my disability and my long-term and short-term disability, I pay .75 hours every pay period.
Oh.
And that's how I pay for it.
There's a number of different ways that you can structure it. That's what we're saying. In other words, how do we want, and I'm not saying that an employer is an endless bucket of money, because they're not. But there are different creative ways that we can come up with to fund different things. And as you mentioned, I'm not sure if at the city here, do we receive sick time?
We do PTO.
PTO? Okay. And some of the cities have said, we will allow you to take, or we will take a portion of that PTO per pay period, per monthly basis, to cover what your disability is. Yeah. There's no shortage of ways that you can structure different things to leverage what you do have. So again, I'm not simply saying, let's just open up a checkbook and let's go crazy.
So can we take, is there a way we can get a description of different plans and the cost to the city and all that, and the coverage? Because as much as I appreciate what you did with these 24 groups, without knowing everything, you know, what the city's paying and all that, I don't feel like I can intelligently make any kind of good decision on this.
Yeah, so I thought we were going to get some numbers from closer. Watertown, St. Bonnie, Norwood Young America, New Germany, and what their benefit plans looked like and what they were contributing.
That's what I wanted to see too.
Okay.
Like Norwood Young America contributes, I think it's 84% of the total cost, single and family. We contribute $2,000 to the individual HSA per year, and I think it's $4,000. They do pay that same percentage for the life insurance, short-term, long-term disability, and death.
If I could commit that to memory, I would have.
Well, you work with that. I think Hamburg, I could have to check with Jeremy, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe they pay close to 100% of the single family. But again.
Which is how much a month per employee?
It depends on the age, right?
Yeah.
See, and those are the numbers I want to see.
The numbers that we see would be endless reams of volumes of paper. We can do that, but every single plan design, if I laid them out on the table for you from all the carriers, we would probably have per carrier maybe 30 different plans. In small group, less than 50 full-time equivalent employees, we have a separate age rate for each individual from age 20 to age 63. And then depend upon what network we look at, whether it's an open access network or it's a limited network, we have different rates for each one of those plans. So I'm not saying you can't do it.
But like the most common carriers, like, the Health Partners, Preferred One, you know, Health Easy, those guys. UHG, you know, what are their plans? How much would the city's contribution be?
For what the carriers have right now, or what the groups have right now, is that what you're speaking, or just the carriers? We did a comparison of, we have Preferred One right now. And we looked at our plan design, and the closest plan design with Health Partners, Medica, and Blue Cross. Preferred One did have the lowest rates based on our plan design in this area, was considered Area 8. So whether that's where there's 9 different geographical areas, so state of Minnesota. We're in area Section 8. And as far as the plan design goes, Preferred One did have the lowest rates based on that like-kind plan design and that.
Okay, but Preferred One would have like, you know, 3 different plans. You can choose from A, B, or C.
And our side 3. Are you talking about the employee choice?
Yes.
Are you talking about, you don't have enough employees to have multiple plan choices? Which is one of the things that we kind of struggle with as a smaller city. We don't quite have that latitude as maybe what a larger group would have. So it's not that I don't want to share things with you, maybe things that it's just we don't have that particular.
You're saying because the city of Mayor, we only would have 5 employees.
Yeah.
Part of it, you just don't have that.
We don't have the latitude as an employer of 5 employees to go to the carrier and say, we'd like to have 2 or 3 plan choices, to choose which plan we want.
Right.
Sorry, you're not a big enough employer.
Can we at least get for the 5 employees, the different carriers and what plans they do offer and how much they would cost on a monthly basis? Family and individual?
I think, I'm not trying to jump in here, but like, I don't think we can go to that level. I mean, I think we have to look at it as a higher, I mean, our age force is gonna change every year. We could have people that come in are gonna be younger or older, so our amount of money that we have to put in every year is gonna change, especially if they move into different brackets. You know, if Kyle has a family, then that changed. So we have to decide, A, are we only gonna cover the employee? Are we gonna cover family? Are we gonna cover the whole amount, or are we gonna cover part of it and look at it? Because we'll never know. I mean, you know, this is $600, so Kyle right now, I think him and his wife are covered, but if they have a kid, now they're gonna be paying out of pocket. And, you know, you're probably paying out of pocket now for it, so it's like, do we wanna pay a percentage? Like, I'm a private employer, and they pay 100% of mine, then they pay 50% of my first dependent, which is my husband, and then I have to pay 100% of anybody after that. That's just their plan, so they pay like.
And that's why we wanted to know the numbers of the area places, what they're contributing, what their deductibles, I mean, what plans
But
they
you
have.
can't put a dollar amount because it's gonna vary every year. I think you have to.
There should be a percentage.
But we'll get comparable, won't we? And then we have to decide, are we paying a percentage or doing like exactly what you're saying?
Right.
Or are we given a flat rate every month like we do now?
Right, it's easier to budget with the flat rate.
Yeah, I would think as a city, whatever you decided to actually funding that, would be a flat dollar.
I just feel like these statistics aren't enough for me to make a informed decision.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with you.
I would agree.
You know, that, I don't think that was.
Yeah, I wasn't
So breaking down,
agreeing with this.
breaking down this, if I'm reading all this right down to the very conclusion, the very end, where it says flat dollar amount range from 900 to 1537, the most common dollar amount being 1,080. That's meaning 1,080 is contributed per month.
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously.
So all this data breaks down to about $1,000 is what most of these people are paying.
Most of those public groups.
And we're paying 600.
Yes.
Going up to 800 possibly, so we're getting close to we're getting close to that average, but we're still off.
But you're not getting all the pieces of the puzzle.
No, I get that. No, I understand that. No, I understand. I might not have I'm trying to understand it.
I put together that comparison I mentioned to you that just showed the Preferred One of our 5 employees. I need a copy of that to get to each one of you. like that, what I have to ask you to do is because I did have names on there and it's protected health information and we can't distribute it, but I'm more than happy to share that with you if that gives you a little help.
I don't know.
I don't know if I can do
If
that,
it's
but-
HIPAA stuff, I
Yeah,
don't think.
I don't wanna
do
HIPAA
it.
violation. Try on it.
That's a magic word.
Yeah.
But at least that, you know, it does, yeah, you'll be chasing your tail if you try to always keep up with, you know, what the rates are based on how many people does each person have in their family and these types of things.
Do most of these cities review their plan and come to you and ask, because like we just switched from Blue Cross to Health Partners because Blue Cross was just getting way too expensive for them to even pay those premiums that they've offered to their employees, which, I mean, I don't have a really great plan. You know, I'm not saying my plan's great, it's not, but I would just, you know, they switched to Health Partners because it was more reasonable for them as an employer. Are these cities reviewing that every year and making sure that they're getting the best plan for their employees and the city contribution?
We look at it each year.
Because I feel like we never have.
I'm gonna call it a spreadsheet, which is easy enough. Is your employer larger employer or small?
We have 35 employees.
35 employees?
So we go through a broker.
That's simply but there's a difference between 35 employees and more than 50 full-time employees.
No, I don't know. I've met with them for my personal.
If a group had less than 50 full-time equivalents, which can also be taken into consideration for part-time people. So if I had a group of, if I have 20 full-time people, and if I had 80 part-time people that only work 20 hours a week, I'm a large group. Even though I only have 20 people that are benefit eligible. That's why I say that. But if a group is less than 50 full-time equivalents, that's just a spreadsheet. Probably nothing more than that.
I think we are in agreement, we need to look at all this. I don't think we're gonna have anything resolved by December. I think we should absolutely go into next year, looking into 2019 personally.
And what did we
I'm
budget? Did we budget
comfortable. We budgeted for an extra $200 per person, just because we know we're behind. We don't know how far behind, we don't know. I think a 30% increase is a great increase for a year, and if we have to do another 39, to come in and do a 100% increase is gonna be pretty tough to do from a budgeting standpoint. I just think that's hard to do at this point.
I would agree.
I think this 30% increase if we keep the money in there that we budgeted for and increase it to that in 2018, I think we're going in the right direction. We're making good faith to get where we need to be, knowing we're behind. I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with going to 800, based on what I've heard. Again, you guys aren't the only ones who've said this. We've had our consultants review this. Our interim administrator looked at this, and they were all in agreement. You're behind on, for sure, your family stuff. You're behind. I don't think we can get to I think this is a 6-month project to get us where we need to be personally.
And I think Maggie felt it was important for me to at least introduce.
It's very, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not saying.
And I simply want to make myself available to everyone on the council, so if there is questions or concerns, or there's different things that, we need information here, Al. I wasn't necessarily looking for a move tonight, more as an introduction.
Yeah, no, that's.
I think it's important that we utilize a team like yours that understands this and can come presenting different plans to the employees. Because like you said, we're not paying for you. The insurance companies pay. I mean, it's free, nothing's ever free, but, you know, like, there is no cost to the city to have a group that helps you manage your plans and making sure you have the right plans for your employees. I had learned that when I needed to get my own individual plans. That I asked, who do you talk to? And then, our broker. Well, I never got a bill from him, and he gave me personal, and I took out a personal plan through him. And I never got a bill from him like a financial planner where you have to pay a certain percentage of, because they get reimbursed from the providers. But you're not pushing a specific plan, you're looking all in general.
Yeah, it's more to give council some information, from many sides. council staff, hopefully we can help you resolve those questions, and give you some ideas as far as, here are some other public groups on your similar size or your similar area are doing or looking.
But I think we need to be competitive in this if we want to keep and get new employees. I mean, that was one reason why we wanted to go back on the table, was because of our benefit package.
Right, I absolutely think, I agree with that. Yeah, I think-
Especially if other cities in the area are doing something different. I mean, we just have to budget for it, and your employees are your most valuable asset.
I think
in any
with that
organization.
budget increase, I think we are getting
Yeah.
I think we acknowledge there's room for personal improvement. Okay. Well, I think we continue to work on it and move forward, and, I mean, as far as trying to get something and trying to relook the budget and where we're at, and personally, I wouldn't vote for it to go backwards. I would leave it at that 800. I wouldn't back it down to 700, me personally, but I think we're moving in the right direction. Then I think we continue to work and get where we need to be, but some of it may have to be steps to get there. It just might have to be that way, but.
No, I appreciate it.
No, but thank you. I appreciate you coming in. And
Thank you.
Yeah, it's important, and like I said, I've been in this space for quite a few years. We're after maybe something different than what you're after, and we think they intersect. We're after our public groups being so happy that not only will mention us to other people, but brag about us to other people. That's not gonna happen unless we're doing our job.
Yeah, I definitely want to learn more about it. I want to dig into it. I think we should be informed about the benefits that we're offering our employees. And insurance is huge. It's big. It's hard to understand. At 9 o'clock at night, I'm done. I mean, I'm done. Do we have anything else that we, because, you know,
I appreciate it, guys.
but
Thank you,
yeah.
though.
I mean, we'll
Thank
see
you
what
for
we
coming
can
in.
do going forward to kind of learn more about what we're offering and what we have to offer.
Some of it might even be just offering things to the employees and letting them pick up the rest.
I totally agree with that.
I mean, just choice, not necessarily, here council, we want you to increase the budget. That's not the answer. But maybe we just make the selection over here and now allow employees to pick and choose or have some latitude as we can over.
Yeah. To suit their needs.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's probably a better way to do it. All right, well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. All right, website improvement.
I'll be quick. I know you guys
Look
want
at our
to.
website.
Take your time.
Yeah, that's something you did in your interview. You talked about how you redid
Well, I
Montrose.
did, so I can show you Montrose.
So we have been talking about it, that our website, for the lack of a better term, I mean, it's just, and it looks so industrial.
Yeah, I can pull it up.
Maggie's trying nicely to not say anything negative about it.
We made like email addresses for the city staff.
I think
that
you
aren't
got
the
some,
city
right? Didn't you?
administrator, and,
We're working on that.
with their names, and they can pick their own.
So this is our current site.
So pretty.
Yeah, and so what I did in Montrose, they had us, so you guys have GovOffice. You're currently paying, or we're currently paying about $425 a year to maintain that current standard website. So Montrose had a similar kind of outline as you guys, or we currently have. And so I know how to do like the background. I know how to do all the background work, and I actually worked for Montrose to do all the background work. All they did was all I have to do, or what we have to do, is decide, okay, what do we want to see, like on our front page? We want to, we want to customize it if we want to take this approach. It would be more of a customized package, like the like pictures of our community. These buttons, these buttons are quick links. It's kind of like when somebody comes to the website, we want it to be user friendly. We want people to I think a lot of people like to seek out their information nowadays.
Anything is an improvement over what we have, and just
Well,
work
that
your
is
magic.
true,
You know, council meeting minutes that are actually on there,
No, we're missing a bunch.
Yeah, I know.
April and August
that-
my
are.
agendas for the park board.
That doesn't have anything to do with this,
No,
this,
that's about the
it's
website itself.
Yeah.
someone put them on.
But it would just be, I mean, and for the first 3 years, yes, there is an expense. It would be something that we would have to budget for 3 years, and then we would go back to that maintenance fee of $425. So and because I'm able to do a lot of the work, they don't have to help with, like, designing our, like, where all of our information goes. I can do all of that. Their fees are mostly to customize what we want it to look like, give us that customized look. And so yeah, it would be kind of an expense for the first 3 years to cover those initial costs of updating to a more customized page. But
I think a lot of our residents go to our website.
Yeah, and I
think to make it more user-friendly and something with
Yeah, it's not user-friendly.
it is really a benefit. I'm willing to spend that money to
And the one-
improve this because it gets used, a lot of people go there. And it's so hard to navigate through ours
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
I can't find stuff on ours and.
Well, even
I'm on
Tice
this a
was
lot.
asking me on something on how to
Yeah,
navigate
it's
something in there, and I'm like.
Well, there's so much on the first page. It's like, every single link that we own does not need to be on the, and then you have to, like, try to figure out,
I
how
think-
come they only have 2 pictures?
Well, so that's my problem.
Back and forth.
So right now, they only have you can have up to 5.
Okay.
So you can change it seasonally, actually. So you can
Covers
change
our
it to
whole town.
pictures of the community at the different seasons. I don't know why there's only 2. I don't know if that changed after I left. But
I didn't like your picture.
I guess. Actually, and
Like, you're gone.
there were some
They're all
pictures
shot.
that they put on there, like, that didn't fit the community. These 2 are actually part of the community, but there was one with mountains, and I was like, okay, that has to come down, because they don't have mountains in Minnesota. But, yeah, so you can change those seasonally, and the one thing I liked is, like, you have the option to do quick forms, which is that they can actually type in their name, email, phone, comment, and it'll download into our emails. So they can ask it, they don't have to call if they don't want to. They can then put their comment question in, and we can then respond to them in the way they want us to respond. So they have a box at the bottom that says, call me, email me, or email me, or no need to contact me.
Did you find that residents utilize that
Oh, yeah.
in Montrose?
I did, yep.
And I
I
see
think
that
you'll find
it's
it
also
here.
set up that you can't just put a comment in there and shoot it off. You have to put your phone number in there. you have to put-
Yeah, and you can adjust that.
Can't be anonymous.
You can't be anonymous. I mean, I know some people would like to be, but we did require some basic information from the people.
I think we should move forward with it.
Agree.
And I'm comfortable, if you're comfortable setting it up, what you think is best, without
And I
our
did a
input,
lot of research
I'm
from
fine
other
with that.
communities to create, yeah, so.
What,
Yeah.
well, to spend money,
Work
but
your
not how
magic.
it looks. I mean, if you wanna have other meetings to decide how we want it to land, what,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
can, but if
Yeah.
you think you know it, I'm fine with you just doing it.
And you know,
I'm not an I'm not gonna be a lot of help on this.
one
but-
thing we can do is they can put together, like, different options about what the front page would look like, and I can bring that to you guys, and you can say, I don't really like that part, let's change the font, and we can kind of go back and forth that way.
I'm
Yeah.
good with that.
So do you get an actual .gov email address with these, or what's the?
No, you don't get a .gov email. Since we're already a Gov office person, we maintain the website link that we have, but they don't do our emails. You can just type in the background, you can type in your email, and whenever, like, these quick forms, like, when they fill it out, then it goes to the email that you link it to. Does that make sense?
But you guys are changing our email addresses,
Yeah, we're
correct,
changing
to
it right
City of
now.
May, at City of Mayor to the
yeah.
Frontier Net,
Yeah,
because
right.
we don't have Frontier anymore.
Right.
There you go.
If you
Well,
look
that's
at.
better. I mean, it's just the way that our email addresses before were CI.frontier, I mean, it looks like.
Yeah, it's kind of
real
complicated.
government.
It's like, almost like you don't want anyone to contact you.
But you're changing all of ours,
We are,
too. Yeah.
yep.
They're in the
Mhm.
process, and it should be completed this month.
Perfect.
Yeah, because I got an email from Maggie that said, here's my new email address, and I went and looked at it, and it says Maggie at cityofmayor.com.
Yeah, cityandmayor.com. Yeah. Okay.
All right, good.
All right.
Let's do that.
Oh, and then I just have a question. So when we get the new email, like, I need to know how like, what, it's not through Yahoo anymore.
No, it'll be,
Hmm?
no, oh shoot, what is it?
Is it still on?
That's when we need to talk to the IT guy and say, how do I get that on my phone?
Well, they should give them instructions on what to put.
Yeah, we'll
To
give
put
you
on the phone,
Yeah.
like the IP address and the other things that you have to put in to, like, link up.
Yep, they'll,
Because I know that my work, they told me how to do it.
yeah, they'll work us through that, 'cause I need to do that too, so,
All right, any other items?
yeah. Nope, that's it.
We're adjourned.
I really like those new signs. Vikings are winning.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
As of
I wasn't even supposed to look.
halftime, it was 3-2.
Seriously?
So, well, that's what, no, it's not halftime, wasn't there? So it's like we had a field goal and a safety, so I'll hold on. It's weird, now that I think about it, it's like, that's weird. Sounds good. And the paramedic guy, like, what was the older friend, but I got a picture and it's. No problem. Yeah, well, that shouldn't be a problem.
Be a lot of juggling.
Okay, well, hopefully, you know.
Worst comes to worst, anything like that where you need me to sign, if I can't make it, I'll just come in at night. We'll leave it here if there's not another meeting, or get an envelope somewhere else.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
I can slip it under the door.
Absolutely.
Or
Yeah.
you can drop it at my house.
That might even work
I can
too.
slip it in the door, or
Or, yeah, like one of us can just,
mailboxes out there.
well, we have put stuff up on top.
Somewhere we can get it.
Yeah. I mean, even if we drop it off at your house and then you just, when you can,
Yeah.
come in and put it under the
I
door.
can slide under the door.
Yeah, that will work.
Even if it's in here, and you put it out, no one's gonna
No.
you know, it's sitting on top of one of those black things.
Right. And very, you know, other than the meetings, really